Stand up, New York Giant fans. Hope everybody's enjoying their, what is today? Today's Tuesday, I believe. Hope everybody's enjoying their day, or is it, I don't even know what days it is. I think it's Tuesday. Thank you to everybody for being here. We got some stuff to talk about with the New York Giants. One major rumor came out today from a very credible source. We're going to go over it. We're going to pull up the video format on Twitter. We'll pull up the official tweet as well that first came out from Ian Rappaort. And we're also going to jump into some of the things that came out today from today's press conference. Now, you know how these press conferences work. More often than not, you're not going to get much information, especially when the guys asking the questions don't really ask a lot of good ones. There were a couple. I thought Art Stapleton asked a really good question. I'm going to jump into some of the tidbits from that press conference as well, some of the thoughts that I had coming from it, but not a lot in terms of leaning where they may be going in the draft. As a matter of fact, I don't even think they were asked a specific draft question. They were asked about the edge rusher position. They were asked about the wide receiver position, but nothing really like in depth in terms of the draft this year with the New York Giants. There was a lot of questions regarding free agency for the Giants and how they handled it, how their cap is going to be going forward, things like that. But there was nothing like in depth in terms about the draft. But I'll jump into some of the quotes there. But I really wanted to hit home with what Rappaort had to say. Of course, that is major news in the New York Giants world today. And we're going to see if there's any validity to that. And I know what a lot of people are going to say, and then I'm going to say hello to everybody in the chat. It's smoke season. Don't believe everything that you hear. And that's absolutely true. But when Ian Rappaort reports on something, I think there's at least some validity to it. Rappaport's an NFL insider. This isn't some Joe Schmo. This isn't Bleacher Report. This isn't some random beat reporter for the New York Giants. This is a guy that, he gets credit for breaking news. He's supposed to be one of the most reliable sources when it comes to the NFL. So do I think that the New York Giants are at least open and entertaining the possibility of trading down? Yes, 100%. Now, I thought that before Rappaort said that, but this kind of just cements my belief on that if the right deal is there, especially once we started to see that the New York Giants were showing interest in the edge rusher position. If you look at any mock draft, everybody says that that's not the proper value to take an edge rusher at number 11 overall. And if that's where the New York Giants are leaning, well, I did the mock draft yesterday for the Gettleman Project. I think it would be the best course of action for the New York Giants to look to trade out of that pick if that's what they're thinking. And I'm gonna talk more about that. But if the Giants are entertaining trading down, me personally as a fan, what I think, if this is true, don't bank on taking a wide receiver in the first round. If they want to take a wide receiver, they're going to stand pat. If they're looking to trade down out of 11, what it tells me is that if it's true, and it could be smoke, if it's true, even if they don't trade down, if they're looking to trade down, it tells me they're looking to either go edge rusher or offensive line. And we're going to have to wait and see how it all plays out. But that's how I took it as a fan, and we'll talk more about it as the stream goes along. Entertaining the Source Guy, man. Thank you very much. 420 crew, Chris, smoke him if you got it, my man. And True Rapples, thank you very much. We're drafting EDP 445 to play. Maybe if we're playing in a prison league. True Rapples, man. Thank you so much for being here. What's going on, Tyler? What's going on, X-Man? What's going on, Christian? What's going on, D-Wins? Jersey Light, Patrick Graham. Best defensive coordinator in football. Glad to see you here, my man. What's going on there, Joe freaking Judge? What's going on there, Chris Hoffman, Chris Tyler? Moose in the chat. I know I saw a diehard Giants fan earlier. Rowan in the chat. David AV in the chat. WP in the chat, man. What's going on there? Yo, what's going on there? Evan, what's going on? Thor, what's going on? Buxo, what's going on? Joseph Balby, what's going on? Connor, what's going on? Juicy White Man, Tornado in the chat. King Sean in the chat. Zany in the chat. Joseph in the chat. John Kim in the chat. Julian in the chat. Moose in the chat. Mercado, I'm sure I said everybody 2 times. I try to get to everybody. There's no way I could do it. But thank you guys for being here. If you haven't done so, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell. What's going on, Gridiron? What's going on, JB? Alb in the chat, Dust Thunder in the chat. So first, let's get to Ian Rappaort. Let's talk about what he had to say, and then we're going to jump into the press conference as well, being that that's the big news for the New York Giants today. And also I'll talk about, as I've talked about in prior videos, who I think some of the potential landing spots for the New York Giants could be if we do, in fact, trade down. The other thing I'm going to say is if the New York Giants are going to trade down, I don't expect them to do it probably until draft night, for the simple reason the teams that would be trading up don't know what they're going to be getting. They don't know what player is going to be there at 11, right? You saw teams trade up to 3 because that solidifies their quarterback. Trading up to 11, for all they know, 5 quarterbacks are going to go in the first 10 picks. So if the Giants are going to trade down, I don't expect the trade to happen until draft night. But I wanted to pull up exactly what Ian Rappaort had to say. And here is the tweet here. I'm going to play the audio for you as well in this clip. The text, and I'm going to read the first text as well, says from the NFL now, the hashtag Giants are open to trading back from number 11, which would be first for Dave Gettleman, obviously the general manager of the New York Giants, but it does make sense. Before I play the audio clip, I also want to pull up his other tweet that he posted as well about the Giants, and then we'll play the audio clip in 1 second. The other thing that he posted initially, which got Giants fans up in arms and some upset and I guess some excited, the Giants are slated to pick number 11 in the NFL draft, and trading back is already something they are internally considering, I'm told. That spot will have real value. How rare would a trade down be? GM Dave Gettleman has never traded down in the first round in 8 drafts as a general manager, of course, dating back to when he was a general manager with the Carolina Panthers. Now, this is the audio clip. Let me rewind it.
I have checked with research a couple times, and I don't believe he has ever traded down. And I know he has not traded down in the first round. He's been a general manager in charge of drafts for 8 years. No trade downs. I don't think any trade downs at all. But, Mike, this might actually be the year. And I know that sounds crazy, but I believe this is something inside the organization they're firmly considering for a couple different reasons. Think about the players who might be there. And, look, this is a draft where you probably have 13, maybe 14 special players. They might get someone willing to pay a premium to trade up, and maybe they could slide back a little bit, get some value. This is a team I know they would like to build. And you think of where Joe Judge is from, New England, obviously. They love to trade back. They love to gain value, love to make use of those mid-round picks. A perfect opportunity for the Giants, who don't have just a crazy glaring need to really cash in on some of those mid-round picks.
It's funny that he says
research a couple times.
Hold on 1 second.
I don't believe.
Let me get rid of that. It's funny that he says that about Joe Judge, because I say it all the time when people say, "Oh, well, Dave Gettleman never trade down." That's exactly what I say. Where does Joe Judge come from? Joe Judge comes from the New England Patriots. What are the New England Patriots notorious for doing? Trading down. Everybody seems to think that Joe Judge has a lot of say on this team, and it's why I've always said that, yeah, under the right circumstances, I could absolutely see the New York Giants trading down. Does that mean it's going to happen? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. We're going to talk about it throughout the stream. Juicy Man, thank you very much. Before I do my draft madness chart, defense is what's happening this draft, followed by project offensive lineman acquisitions. Now, if you guys have not done so, what he's referring to, if anybody that wants to get the opportunity, my sponsor, Faruqi and Faruqi, is going to be giving away a Eli Manning signed football. It's voted by you guys on draft night. So if you go to my last video after the stream in the pinned comment, you join the contest, NFL.com, password, everything else, you have an opportunity to win the football. That's what he's referring to. And all signs point to that the New York Giants are considering defense in the first round. It's just the truth, Juicy. And I'm not even saying I necessarily want that, but if they are going to do it, I would prefer a trade down. But that's where all signs are pointing right now, if you're being honest with yourself. They went to several pro days that were highlighted by defensive prospects. Joe Judge was in attendance for 3 or 4 of them. All 3 or 4 of them were defensive prospects. Now you're hearing the fact that they're thinking about trading down, and it's coming from Ian Rappaort. Like I said, it's not coming from Joe Schmo. And if there is validity to this and the Giants are considering trading down, well, that would make you think that they're not going to be taking a wide receiver. Because if they were going to take a wide receiver, they more than likely would just stand pat and take him there. If they're trading back to 15 with the Patriots, the hot spot there, you're looking at an offensive lineman or an edge. That's my opinion, unless you're taking Rashad Bateman. But we haven't heard the New York Giants link to Rashad Bateman at all. I'm going to pull up some of the quotes that he's had to say about the offense as well in the press conference. And again, it's a guessing game. We don't know what the Giants are going to do. Your guess is as good as mine right now. But I'm going to tell you, based off the things I'm hearing, if there's any truth to this, yes, I would be leaning that the New York Giants are thinking defense or offensive line in the first round. And it's kind of what I've thought all along after free agency. Then I kind of reverted back to wide receiver. I had a lot of you guys talk me into it, and that still may be the case. We'll have to wait and see. Devontae Smith could very well be the best player available when we're picking at 11, Jalen Waddle. And I know a lot of fans that want those players no matter what are going to convince themselves that this is all smoke and there's no validity behind it. We're going to find out sooner than later. But if there is truth to this, it would make me think we're going edge with a guy like Jalen Phillips, with a guy like Azeez Ojulari, with a guy like Kwity Paye, or we're going with an offensive lineman. A guy like Tevin Jenkins, maybe a guy like Elijah Vera Tucker. That is where my head is at right now. And I want to get into some of the press conference notes as well from today. John says, JOK, Darrisaw, Ojulari. Yeah, JOK is a guy I haven't talked a lot about either. He's another guy that I do think fits the scheme very well. And if we were to trade down to 15, I think that's his range. So I could see that as well. Juicy, man, thank you very much. Bill probably got Judge hired for our draft pick this year. It seems like a great spot to trade down if we want good draft capital, being seeing that New England wants a quarterback. Yeah, well, I think there's two spots, Juicy, where I could see the New York Giants trading down. And I said in my last video, I think it's Chicago and I think it's New England. I don't see the New York Giants trading back further than 20. I just don't see the sense in it. I think you'd be moving way too far back. You could argue teams maybe like the Saints who could use a quarterback, something like that. I think it'll be 15 or 20. If we do, in fact, trade back, I think it will be a team moving up for a quarterback. Maybe it's possible a team wants to move up and get a wide receiver and jump the Eagles, who could potentially be taking that wide receiver. So that's possible as well if we're, in fact, not going wide receiver. But again, like I said earlier in the stream, if the Giants are going to trade down, I think it's going to be when they're on the clock on draft night, because I think those teams are going to want to see what they could potentially take at that 11th overall pick. Rappaort went on to say that the New York Giants are going to have a lot of value at that 11th overall pick. And especially if there's a quarterback there, you would think that there'd be more value at that pick and what they could get. Now, if you watch my last video and the video prior to that, I talked about prior trades where teams traded up to get a quarterback in the first round in a similar spot. The Arizona Cardinals were picking, I think it was 15, and they moved up to 10. Patriots are picking 15. They gave up a mid-third round pick and a mid-fifth round pick and, of course, the 15th pick in order to do it. So that is the type of return that I think the New York Giants would get if they were to trade down with the New England Patriots. Something along those lines if they were to trade up for a quarterback. Obviously, the further you move down, the more that you get. But if the Giants were able to get 2 more picks in a draft in which they only have 6 selections, yeah, it makes sense, especially if you're strongly considering going edge. I think most Giant fans in here wouldn't cry if we traded down and went edge. I think there's definitely Giants fans that would cry if we stayed at 11 and took edge, being that all the experts, all the people that do these mocks seem to think that it would be a reach at that spot. But if you trade down to 15, if you trade down to 20, you get more draft capital and you get that edge. I think Giants fans would be much more okay with it. And, that's my line of thinking right now. If these rumors are true, that's what I think they're looking to do. Or take an offensive lineman. But you never know. Maybe somebody unforeseen drops. Maybe Micah Parsons drops. Maybe, Devontae Smith drops. You don't know. But that's my line of thinking if they're considering trading down. And it's true. Pete, man, thank you very much. I don't hate trading down, but I'd rather move down for Parsons or JOK over a pass rusher with mixed reviews, maybe around pick 15 or 16. That could very well be it, Peter. If Parsons is going to drop that far, we're going to have to wait and see. The one thing I will say, if he does drop that far, it would lead me to believe that it's going to be based off character concerns more so than anything else. And will the Giants take him? I think it's a good question that we don't know right now. We're going to have to wait and see until the draft gets here. But I do think JOK, which again is a guy I probably should be talking about more because I do think he's a realistic possibility, could be a guy that if we do trade down, you just haven't heard the Giants really linked to him. But I completely get the attraction to JOK. He definitely is a player that would fit our scheme. He's versatile. He's a guy that could do multiple things in a defense. He's a very fun prospect to watch. I could absolutely see him being in the Giants range if we were to trade down to 15. I don't know if he'd be there if we were at 20 with the Bears. Chicago Giants fan, thank you very much. Smokescreen season, trade back would be good under the right circumstances, but don't think they will unless the top prospects they covet are off the board. Very possible, Chicago. It could very well be a smokescreen. I'm not going to tell you this is definitely true. And, just because Rappaort, here's what I'll say. Rappaort is very credible. And I don't think Rappaort is leaking false information. He's one, like I said, he's one of the best NFL insiders. But he's just relaying the information that he's told. And like you said, it could be a smokescreen. It could be the New York Giants throwing things out, making teams think that they're looking to trade back, like the Eagles, perhaps, like we've talked about in the past, so they don't come up and jump them. But the fact that Rappaort is now reporting it, I think at least adds more legitimacy to the possibility. And we'll have to wait and see. Louie, man, thank you very much. You're live. High five, bro. Love you, man. I'm out. All right, Louie. All right, Louie, be good, my man. I'll be live for the Knicks game tonight as well. I know you come in for those. John, man, thank you very much. I think we trade with the Vikings. They're picking at 14 and need a corner since they lost theirs. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, it depends which corners are on the board. I mean, the Cowboys could go corner. If the Falcons trade back, which I think they could, to the Broncos, it's probably what I'm going to have in my final mock. They could take a corner. It depends on what corners are there. But if one of the top 2 corners are there, sure, could make sense. That's a good point you bring up. A lot of people that seem to think the 49ers could potentially take a corner. Arizona could take a corner at 16, who they're picking in front of. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think quarterback is your most realistic possibility, but it could be for a wide receiver. Who knows? And I'm sure the Giants, at least according to Rappaort, are listening to all offers, and we'll see. John, man, thank you very much. Do I need some kind of password to join your group post? Yes, I put it in the comment. But maybe you missed it. The pinned comment, the password is Eli Manning, all lowercase, no space. Eli Manning, no space, all lowercase. That's the password for the giveaway, John, on NFL.com. But yeah, anybody that wants to check that out, go over to my last video. It's in the pinned comment. The password is in it. It's Eli Manning, no space. I think last I checked this morning, I had 81 people already signed up, so that's pretty cool. Hopefully we get 200-300 people, and somebody gets that signed football by Eli. Sam, man, thank you very much. Maybe flip picks with Baltimore and send OTR picks for. I'm not good with abbreviations. Maybe flip picks with Baltimore. First off, I'm not gonna lie to you, and I don't want to use super chat again. I don't get the second part of that. But as far as the Baltimore part goes, Baltimore's they're the 27th pick. I don't see the New York Giants dropping all the way down to 27, if that's what you're getting at. I don't think the Giants are going to drop all the way from 11 to 27. I don't see that. The furthest I could probably see them dropping is the Bears. I think the Patriots are much more realistic. You're basically giving up a first-round pick if you do that. You're picking 27. You might as well have a second-round pick at that point. I don't think the Giants are dropping that far back. I would be surprised if that's what you're getting at. The rest of that, send OTR picks for maybe for a player. Is that what you're trying to say there? Maybe you get a player back as well. If that's what you're trying to say, maybe you're getting creative there. Maybe. T-Man, thank you very much. If the 3-4 offensive line or Parsons is worth it at a 15, why not? If 3-4, I agree. I agree. That's the whole reasoning for wanting to trade back. I think that's why the New York Giants are exploring the opportunity. Why would any team explore the opportunity to trade back? They feel that the player that they covet, the player that they want, is better suited to be drafted later in that first round. So that's my line of thinking. And my line of thinking is this, and I know people don't want to hear this because you get a lot of Giants fans that want the wide receiver. If they want a wide receiver, why would they trade back? Why not just stay where they are? They get one of the top 3 wide receivers there. If they're going to trade back, to me, it's more appropriate to be drafting an edge or an offensive lineman where they're going to be trading back. And again, it could be a smokescreen. We're going to have to wait and see to see until draft night, T. But that's just my line of thinking. And maybe it's all smoke screens. Maybe the New York Giants went to all these pro days. Maybe they went to see Parsons. Maybe they went to see Oweh. Maybe they went to go see Greg Rousseau and Jalen Phillips and, Joe Judge was in attendance for all these guys as a smokescreen. Maybe this trade is a smokescreen. Maybe it's all a smokescreen. I don't think so. I'm starting to believe in some of the smoke. And we'll see. We'll see come draft night. I've been fooled before. Will, man, thank you very much. Thoughts on Ronnie Perkins round 2? I really like him. I like Ronnie Perkins as well. He's a guy. I almost actually had him mocked in my in one of my mock drafts. It wasn't the previous one because we took an edge in the first. It was my first mock draft. I almost had him. I had Joe Tryon instead because he was a guy I really wanted to make note of. I think he fits the scheme very well. But Ronnie Perkins is another potential target in this 2-3 round area that I do like. I think out of Oklahoma, the edge rusher. He looks pretty good on film, from what I've watched, in tape and highlights. So, yeah, he's a possibility. But if we go with an edge in the first, obviously, I'm not looking at him. But, yes, if we go with a wide receiver or an offensive lineman in the first round, yeah, he's definitely a round 2 possibility. Entertainer the Source, Scott, thank you very much. Chris, if we trade down, I'll take Rousseau. I'm not a big Rousseau guy. If you trade back to where Baltimore is, I'm okay with going Rousseau. There's a lot of guys I'd rather have if we trade back to 15 than Greg Rousseau. But obviously, everybody's got their own opinions, but not me. I would not be in love with 15. I'd much rather take several of the other edge rushers that we've talked about. Max, man, thank you very much. I know in-division trades aren't popular, but what would it take for Washington for you to trade with them this year? Also, Giants YouTube legend this week on podcast tomorrow. Looking forward to it, man. I'll definitely check it out. Hopefully I have the time. I'm doing the Knick game at night, but if not, I'll try to watch the replay. As far as the first part of what you had to say there, I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I don't see the New York Giants trading down with Washington. For the simple reason of this, Max, if you're the Giants, could you imagine the hit the New York Giants would take if they, say Trey Lance is on the board at 11 and say Washington comes calling and they say, we're going to get, even if they're giving you a great package, if Washington trades up and the Giants are the team that gave them Trey Lance, and Trey Lance ends up being one of the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the sport, which is possible. He's definitely a guy with upside. Could you imagine the backlash it would get from the fan base? I could never see the New York Giants allowing Washington to move up and get a quarterback. I don't even think it's possible. I don't see it happening. I could see them trading up with somebody else, but I don't see them trading up with the New York Giants. I'd be surprised. That's another thing that should be pointed out. Maybe the New York Giants are more incentivized to trade down with a team like New England for them to get their quarterback, to kind of block Washington from being able to trade up before New England to get the quarterback if they're scared of a quarterback going to Washington. But I don't see it. I don't see them ever trading down with Washington. I don't even think it's a possibility. Chris, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Do you think if Slater and Surtain there at 10, the Cowboys will take Slater so the Giants couldn't get him like they did with Lamb not going to the Eagles? I think it's possible. You know, I don't think it has anything to do with the Giants, by the way. And I don't think CeeDee Lamb had much to do with the Eagles either. And if it did, the Cowboys are stupid. You know, I've talked about this in prior drafts. That's dumb to me. To draft a player that you may not believe in drafting just to block him from going to one of your division rivals. To me, that makes no sense. To me, CeeDee Lamb was the best player on the board. Cowboys looked at it. They said, well, Gallup could be off this team in 2 years. CeeDee Lamb's too good of a prospect to pass up. I don't think they did it to prevent the Eagles from getting him. And I don't think that would happen this year either in the draft as far as Slater goes. But I could see them drafting Slater, and I don't think enough people have talked about it. The Cowboys, you're talking about a guy that is super versatile on the offensive line. He can play all 5 positions. We know the Dallas Cowboys historically value the offensive line perhaps more so than any other franchise in the NFL. Look at all the first-round offensive linemen they've drafted. So if they like Slater and they think he's a dynamite prospect, I could absolutely see them taking him at number 10. I know everybody seems to have the corner penciled into them, which for obvious reasons, it's a big need of theirs, but I could definitely see Slater going to the Cowboys if he gets past Carolina, who a lot of people think that could be taking him at number 8. Yes, I definitely think that's a possibility. Christian, man, thank you very much. Can you make an EDP video? No. I have no interest in talking about pedophiles on my channel. The name of this channel, Christian, maybe you missed it. Maybe you missed the title before you came in. The name of the channel is The Entertainer Talking Sports. It's not called The Entertainer Talking Pedophiles. So I'm not gonna make a pedophile video. But I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much, man. And obviously, from the way I respond to that, I think you could get what I feel about EDP. Ryan, man, thank you very much, man. I'd give you a first rounder to cut Evan Ingram. Please? You'd give up a first rounder to cut Evan Ingram. No chance. No chance am I giving up a first rounder to cut Evan Ingram. I know a lot of Giants fans hate him. And fan, man, thank you very much. You guys should go after Shaun Wade. He's a corner prospect that a lot of people liked. I think he had a bad year. I think I remember reading that. I haven't done a ton of research on him, but he had a bad year. He was supposed to go much higher. If you looked at the mock drafts a couple of months ago, earlier in the season, I think he had a bad year, and I think it's why he's dropped off. But I'll have to look more into him. I'm definitely open to taking a corner in the 3-4 round area. Paulson Adebo is a guy I've talked about that I like. I think he's got a lot of upside. He was really good early on in his career, and then I think he had an injury. But I like Paulson Adebo. Mac, man, thank you very much. If Micah Parsons and Slater are off the board, I could see them trade back, but they will not pass on either of them. Maybe, maybe not. I personally, the only reason I could see them draft passing on Parsons is for character concerns, nothing else. Not in terms of his ability on the field. Slater, I kind of agree with you. I don't think they'd pass up Slater. I could see them passing up on Parsons if they were concerned with the character issues, which, again, it could be smoke. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But in terms of a player, I agree with you. If they were there at 11, I think the Giants, more than likely, if there was no character issues, would stand pat and take one of those two players. I just personally think Slater's not going to be there. And maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I like Rashawn Slater a lot more than a lot of Giants fans. Sam, man, thank you very much. What I was trying to say, flip first rounders with Baltimore and send other picks as well for offensive line or Bloom, however his name is spelled. Oh, you didn't have to donate again, man. You're talking, what's his name? You're talking about why am I forgetting his name? I know exactly what you're talking about, the left tackle who's trying to get out of Baltimore. You'd have to give up a lot more than that. You know, you look at the deals in the past for young left tackles. They had to give up 2 first-round picks. So you'd have to give up a ton to get that guy. I don't see it happening. Orlando Brown. There you go. Yeah, Orlando Brown. I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. I don't see the Giants giving up that kind of draft capital to bring in a tackle. I know people have talked about it. Not to mention you have to give him a boatload of money after you traded for him. He's going to be a free agent after this year. I just don't see it. I don't see it. David, man, thank you very much. I believe we should take best player available, and we would get a great addition to our team with multiple options to choose from. So excited for our future. Go Giants. David, you can't go wrong. You know, No matter what they do, I'm not going to be upset because, David, the way I'm going to rationalize it as a fan, if they do trade down, I'm going to be like, I'm glad they traded down because I'm going to tell you why. If they do trade down, in my opinion, it's more than likely, I would say 75 to 80% because they want to go edge. All signs point to edge. And if they want to go edge, in my head, I say to myself, well, I'd rather them trade down if they're going to do it. So if they trade down, I'm cool with it. And the fact that they're considering trading down and the fact that they've been linked to going edge leads me to believe that they feel that it would be ideal if they want to go edge to trade down, which is good news. That doesn't mean they won't take an edge, though, if they don't like a trade possibility that they could trade down with. We're going to have to wait and see. Maybe they don't go edge. Maybe they go receiver. Maybe they go offensive line. But regardless, as I say in all these streams all the time, man, I trust this coaching staff. I trust them to get the most out of whichever player we decide to draft in this year's draft. We have a lot of holes, and I just hope that we can fill one in a big way in the first round. That's where my head's at. Whether it's an edge rusher, whether it's a lineman, whether it's a wide receiver, and I think those are the three options. I would, I just hope they make the right decision. And there's a lot of prospects they could choose from. Or Parsons, a linebacker as well. Duran, man, thank you very much, man. A few nights ago, I traded down to 16, got Waddle, and picked Rousseau at 42, and grabbed Wyatt Davis at 49 and Ali McNeil at 76. Gave up the 11 and 116. Well, if you get that package, McNeil's a very good interior defensive lineman, one of the better interior defensive linemen in this year's draft. Wyatt Davis regarded as one of the top 3 or 4 guard prospects in this year's draft. Greg Rousseau in the second round, I'm completely fine with. And you get Jalen Waddle. That would be a New York Giants fan's wet dream on draft night if all that were to take place, Duran. That would be a New York Giants fan's wet dream if all that were to take place. Waddle, who knows? Maybe he does drop. That if you get Jalen Waddle at 16, I'm going to be going bananas on draft night. I don't think it'll happen, but crazier things have happened before. Last year, a lot of wide receivers dropped further than people expected. We'll see. And maybe that's what the New York Giants feel. Maybe they're like, oh, we're completely fine getting a guy like Waddle, but we prefer it at 16. We're completely fine. Maybe there's like 7 prospects that they really like at 11. And they're like, well, if we drop to 16, we get more draft capital and we still get one of the players that we really like that we'd consider at 11. And maybe it's not just for one specific position. That's possible. Juicy, man, thank you very much, man. 1 Lawrence, 2 Wilson, 3 Fields, 4 Horn. I like it. I've said countless times, I said it on Bad Dog's channel this week, and I'm not saying they're going to take J.C. Horn, but if there's going to be one surprise in the first round, I think it will be Atlanta. Because if you look at the rest of this draft, first 3 picks are quarterback. We all know that. 5th pick's either going to be Jamar Chase or it's going to be, Penei Sewell more than likely, or Rashawn Slater. So a tackle or wide receiver. 6th pick, I think, is going to be a wide receiver or a tackle if they pass on Penei Sewell. 7th pick, Lions, I think, are going wide receiver. They could take a linebacker, but I think it'll be wide receiver. And I don't really see many shockers there. Maybe the Broncos, I don't know. But if there's going to be one shocker in this year's draft, I think it'll be Atlanta. I do think Atlanta is probably more than likely going to be looking to trade out of that pick if they're not thinking quarterback, which they still could be if they love Justin Fields. But, I like that. That's a ballsy pick. I could see Pitts going to Atlanta. I could see them taking a guy like Patrick Surtain. I think it's possible. If there's going to be a crazy reach in the top 10, I think that's the team. So I like it. I like it, Juicy. Thinking out of the box. Bill, man, thank you very much, man. The pressure is nonsense. Yeah, I got to get to the pressure. I've just been talking so much about the rumor and everything else. There wasn't a whole lot to it, but I did want to talk about what they had to say about Ifeadi Odenigbo. I did want to talk about what they had to say regarding the edge rusher. There was a couple of things I wanted to hit home with that I'm going to pull up in my notes. But they did one thing I found interesting about the pressure, and I'm not even talking about like the hot questions that everybody's looking for. When asked about Ifeadi Odenigbo by Jordan Renan, Gettleman said that they actually plan to play him on the inside, which I found interesting. I think a lot of people probably just, assumed that he'd be a 4-3 edge. They talked about that they plan on playing him on the inside as well as the outside, and somewhat of an outside linebacker. I think he played outside linebacker in college, if I remember back to my initial video when we signed him. So I thought that was interesting that they talked about potentially playing him on the inside in certain packages. But I wanted to go over some of the other notes from the press conference as well. But he says the pressure is BS. Dave does this every year pre-free agency and pre-draft and tends to use them to confuse and distract. Praise Slater, false to us. Well, they didn't say they were going to look to trade down in the pressure, Bill. That was this was actually reported by Ian Rappaort, who's one of the more credible insiders in the NFL. And I'm assuming he talked to somebody from within the New York Giants organization or somebody that has ties to somebody from within the New York Giants organization. But it could be complete smoke. It could be complete BS. Absolutely. Last year, the New York Giants leaked that they'd be open to trading down, and they may have been. Maybe there wasn't a trade there that they'd be open to. And this just may be the New York Giants throwing out feelers to see if teams could be interested in coming up to them. But I don't think they're going to get legitimate offers until the other teams get to see who's going to be there at number 11 overall. But I wouldn't be shocked if the New York Giants traded down this year. I'm not saying I expect it. I wouldn't be shocked. Marcelo, Matt, thank you very much. Vera Tucker, 15. We don't have a top starting guard. I'd be completely fine with that. I'd be completely fine with that. If you want to go with Elijah Vera Tucker 15, you want to go with Darisaw at 15, you want to go with an edge at 15, I'm completely fine with all of those options. Yeah, 100%. I'd be completely fine with that. And I think most fans should be if we traded down to 15. So I think that's proper. Most mocks have him going 13 to the Chargers. Kendall, man, thank you very much. Nice cut. If Parsons drops because of the issues, would you be willing to trade back into the first to get him? You're asking me? Yes. But again, I don't get the same information that the New York Giants do. I don't know what their character concerns are. I don't know how their interviews went when they talked to him at the pro day. Not that it was an official interview, but they talked to him. You saw Joe Judge and Patrick Graham talking to him. So I don't know how they feel about him. But you're asking me as a fan, if he fell to 24, 25, 26, would I be open to trade back up? Yeah. Yes. I think he'd be a great fit for this defense, and I would welcome him with open arms as a player, 100%. Rob, man, thank you very much. Chris, what's good, my man? Do you think the Giants are looking to get a player for the 11th pick or just other picks? Or could we get both? Okay. Do you think the Giants are looking to get a player for I think they're looking to get picks. I think they're looking to get picks. Now, could it be possible they get a player with it? Yes, but usually around draft time, more often than not, if you're trading down, it's for picks more often than not rather than a player. Now, it does happen where you do get players. I think the Giants should be looking for picks. If you look at our draft this year, we only have 6 picks. I don't think the Giants, if anything, I think they're looking to add picks, not lose them in this year's draft, being that we don't have that many picks to begin with. So if they were to trade down, if you're asking me what's more likely, I think it's to add picks, not to add a player. But is it possible? Sure. Glenn, man, thank you very much. Gettleman will trade up for an edge rusher, not trade up. You mean from the second round? You can't be talking about the first round. Second round? I could absolutely see that. If we stay at 11 and we take Jalen Waddle, or we take Rashawn Slater, or Devontae Smith, if they really like an edge that's dropping, I could absolutely see that. Whether it be Jason Away, whether it be, Jalen Phillips, I could see that, yes. If we don't select an edge rusher in the first round, I could see it. DJ Smooth, man, thank you very much. Hey, Chris, what's up, man? Max Kellerman wants Trey Lance on the New York Giants. He's high. Max Kellerman said that? Wait. Max Kellerman said that he thinks the New York Giants should draft Trey Lance? I was wondering, DJ Smooth, why are you guys always coming here to listen to me? Now I know. Thank you for letting me know. You just answered my question, DJ Smooth. I had a question for you, and you answered it, so thank you very much. John, man, thank you very much. Do you think if we trade back, it is because they know Micah will fall? Micah is technically an edge converted to linebacker. The other player involved in the hazing was drafted by the Panthers last year. No discipline was given to him in the NFL. Do you think if we trade back, it is because they know Micah will fall? Maybe. But what I'll say is if they really like Micah, I don't think you play with that. I think you take him at 11, but maybe. The only thing I could tell you is the obvious answer. If they're trading down, it's because they feel like they could get the player they want at 11 at 15 if they trade down with the Patriots. Otherwise, they wouldn't trade down, or maybe they like 3 or 4 players, like I said earlier, and they could get him at number 15 overall. That's all I could tell you. There's no way I could know that, but is it possible? Sure. If they feel like Mike is going to, you've seen Micah Parsons drop in mocks. I've seen him drop like to the 15 to 18 area in a lot of these mocks, and maybe he's the guy that they're eyeing. They did go to his pro day. They have links to him, obviously, on the coaching staff. It's possible. I think it would be more than likely for an edge if they were to trade down. Parsons is not an edge. He's a linebacker that could play off the edge. Is it possible? Yes. But I think if they really like Parsons, they probably just stay at 11 and they draft him. Or Janice, man, thank you very much, man. I honestly see a trade down for Jalen Phillips would make the most sense. Jalen Phillips has the most upside of any edge rusher in this year's draft class out of Miami. I'll say that. And I talk about him, I get asked about him all the time. Number 1 rated prospect in the entire country coming out of high school. You worry about the injury concerns. But if they traded down and took Jalen Phillips, you're not going to see me complain either. They're going to get future draft capital. They'd probably get a 3rd and maybe a 4th from the New England Patriots. You'd be able to fill other holes that way. It would give you the ability to draft, maybe a guard in the second, take a wide receiver in the third, maybe take a tackle with the other third-round pick. It would give you the ability to fill a lot of holes on this football team. So if they really love Phillips, maybe that's the way they go. I do think, like I said, if they trade down, if you ask me, and I'm not going to be able to give a name. I mean, I have my favorite. I talked about it yesterday, and I've talked about it now for a couple of weeks. I have the guy who I think would be the favorite, not necessarily even my favorite, but the guy that I think would be the favorite if we're looking to draft an edge, and I think that's Azeez Ojulari for a lot of the reasons that I've discussed. But would I be surprised if it's somebody else? No, absolutely not. Peter, man, thank you very much. Tell me if this is wrong. We had the 9th defense without a second cornerback, no McKinney, Zoe, or X-Man. We add Adoree and get back all these guys, plus Adenabo. We're going to be even better without an edge in round 1. So you're, correct me if I'm wrong, you think our defense would be better if we didn't add an edge? I mean, I'm going to disagree with that. I think the defense, if the edge is good, I think it's definitely going to help your defense. All right. I think what you're saying is the defense is going to be better whether we address the defense in the first. Our defense this year will be better than last year, whether or not we address it with a defensive pick in the first round. I think that's what you're getting at. I tend to agree with you. And it's not even so much the injuries, it's familiarity with the scheme. You got these players coming back. Our only big loss was Dalvin Tomlinson. I think he's replaceable. I've talked about that countless times. But I do think that getting an elite prospect, if they feel like one of these guys are, and hopefully that's the case, could take this defense to the next level. And maybe that's what the New York Giants are looking at. If we got a dominant edge rusher with Adoree Jackson added to this defense from last year, you're all of a sudden talking about one of the top 3 or 4 defenses in the sport. And maybe that's what the New York Giants are thinking. Maybe they're not in love with any of these offensive line prospects that are going to be there at 11 or wide receiver. Maybe they don't feel like wide receivers as big of a need as the fans feel after what they did in free agency with Kenny Golladay, Kyle Rudolph, and of course adding John Ross. So we're going to have to wait and see. The thing about Lorenzo Carter, as much as I love Carter, and I think Carter fits the scheme very well, I think Carter's going to be a good player for the Giants if he's back. You don't know how he's going to respond from that injury. Last year, the linebacker we drafted out of Wisconsin, Connolly, everybody just assumed he's going to make the roster. He looked good his rookie year before the injury. He didn't even make the team. He got cut by the New York Giants because the Giants obviously saw flaws in his game coming back from that injury. So we don't know how Lorenzo Carter is going to respond. We don't know how Shane Zimenez is going to respond. And to be fair, Shane Zimenez, he had 4.5 sacks. I think he had 2.5 in the last 2 games of his rookie season. So he's a question mark in himself. So there's definitely a need there on the edge. The question is it the biggest need? I would venture to say the offensive line is, but some people would definitely go with the edge. Some people would definitely go with the wide receiver. And I think it's Xerox, man. Thank you very much, man. Let's just take Smith at 11. He would be tremendous if he's there. And again, I mocked Smith to the Giants before free agency. He's a guy that I could definitely see the New York Giants taking if they're going to go wide receiver. If he's there, I'd be completely fine with it. Every night when I go to bed, I dream about Rashawn Slater. I'm praying Rashawn Slater gets there. I don't lie to you guys. That's my guy. That's the guy I want. I don't think he's going to be there. And if the New York Giants stay at 11 and Slater's not there, I'm completely open to taking Devontae Smith if he's there, or Jalen Waddle. I'm completely open to it. I may prefer to trade down if we could and get an offensive lineman or an edge that way. But if we're going to stay at 11, that may very well be the best option for the Giants if Slater's off the board. I wouldn't really combat that statement. I kind of agree with it. DJ, man, thank you very much. It's Lance. That's much better than DJ. Dude, we got to give DJ another year. You got to DJ Smooth, stop listening to the Max Kellermans of the world. We have to give DJ another year. We're giving DJ another year. There's no reason to think about quarterbacks. DJ will be the quarterback of 2021, and we're going to see what we got. We improved the weapons around him. You have to hope that he picks up the scheme better. You have to hope that the offensive line improves, and you have to hope that Jones takes that next step. We're not taking a quarterback. I guarantee it. Nick DeWick, man, thank you very much. Tune back in 725. Knicks get 7 in a row. That's right. 400 likes gets a win. That's right. I'm going to be streaming the Knicks game tonight. Hopefully some of you guys come by. I know a lot of you guys are Knicks fans. Knicks have been playing fantastic. Can't wait to call that game tonight, man. I look forward to those games every day. Zion, man, thank you very much, man. Just because you grind, bro. Happy 420 to all my smokers. Rolling a fat one. Zion, man, thank you so much for being here, buddy. And thank you so much for being a great supporter on the channel, my man. And have fun, man. Have fun with it, my man. I wanted to go, I think he was asking, is better? Is better? Yeah, no, yeah, that's his opinion. And If they take Devontae Smith, I'm going to be happy. Yeah, I'm going to buy his jersey. I will be happy if they take Devontae Smith. I want the lineman, but if Slater's not there, I completely understand going Devontae Smith. So let's go over some of the notes that I want to pull up for you guys, because I said I was going to do that. I haven't really had an opportunity to do it. One thing that I liked, what Gettleman had to say regarding Kyle Rudolph, Ryan Dunleavy, and what a weird question this is, because some of these questions were off the wall, but Kyle Rudolph is already on the team, right? They just signed Kyle Rudolph. It was a pretty fair contract. It was $6 million. I think it was $6 million a year, $12 million over 2 years, right? So it's not a crazy contract for a pretty established tight end. Obviously, we talked as fans. Maybe they'll go back on the deal due to the fact that he has injury concerns, so on and so forth. And Dunleavy asked him about that after they gave him the physical. Dunleavy said, Kyle Rudolph, injury concerns. Did you feel you had the leverage? Why did you stick with the original handshake agreement? He initially asked Kevin Abrams. Abrams went on to say that the Giants gave him the physical. They felt confident in what they saw. And then Dave Gettleman went on to say, we're the New York Giants. We're first class all the way. And I loved what he had to say about that. He's not looking to, nickel and dime these players. Obviously, they were confident with the medical report that they saw from Kyle Rudolph after the fact, and they gave him the deal. But I liked what he said there. But in terms of the thing about Ifeadi Odenigbo that I really wanted to say, the Art Stapleton question was good as well. I'm going to get into that too. DJ Smooth, man, thank you very much. Your Knicks balling. How you feel about Brooklyn? We'll see, man. I'm looking forward to hopefully playing you guys in the second round of the playoffs. I don't want to play you in the first. You guys still haven't had your three superstars together, but I think it would be a really fun matchup if we got you guys in either the first or second round. But preferably, I'd like to play you guys in the first. Yeah, the Rudolph signing was good, man. The Rudolph signing was fantastic. I have no issues with the Rudolph signing at all. Another stupid question. They asked him about Devontae Booker. Like they said, why did you sign Devontae Booker if we didn't need a backup running back? Somebody else asked them, do you believe you can overpay a player? And I just wrote my response in capital letters. What? With 7 exclamation points. But the Ifeadi Odenigbo one was interesting, where they talked about the possibility of him playing inside. I picked up on that. Duggan asked him, you've avoided guys with injury history. What's different this year? Because, of course, they signed a number of free agents this year that have an injury history. Gettleman didn't really answer it. He said, they had them come in. They did an extensive check, and that's the way they went about it. There wasn't much that came out of this press conference. They asked him about the weapons. I think it was somebody from Newsday asked him about the weapons. It was, who was it? Let me see. I think it was, here it is. Bruce Beck said, do you feel you have a solid arsenal this year in terms of the wide receivers, the tight ends, the running backs? He said, yes, we feel confident in our weapons. Talked about Ross and how they think he's going to have a pretty big role. They're excited about him. So they didn't lead on to believe that they definitely not taking another wide receiver, but they said that they like the core that they have right now. They were also asked specifically about the edge rusher position, and he talked about the injuries they had last year with Zimenez and everybody else, but they didn't lead on to much. The only real interesting note I took about it was how they plan to use Ifeadi Odenigbo this year. Outside of that, the questions were bad. They were asked about, did they regret not signing Dalvin Tomlinson? To which, what are they supposed to say? They said, what was your main factor as to why you signed Leonard Williams over Dalvin Tomlinson? And Dave Gettleman said, 11 and a half sacks. So, but I mean, there wasn't much to it outside of that. There wasn't much that came out of it. Will, man, thank you very much. Got excited with the McCourty news. Is that deal dead? No, Will. To my knowledge, it's not dead. He came in. He met with the Giants. They didn't get a deal done. That doesn't mean that they're not going to get a deal done in the future. Maybe he wants to weigh his options and see if another team's going to give him more money. I do think if all things are equal, there's a very good chance he could be with the New York Giants. Of course, if a team gives him a bigger contract, he's going to go for the money. But he grew up here. He grew up, I think, in the Jersey area. He's got ties to Joe Judge. He's been reported before. I pulled up the quotes on Twitter. He loves Joe Judge as a coach. There's former teammates on this team. Of course, the link to the Patriots. So if all things are equal, I think he will sign here as a depth piece. Obviously, he's not going to start. He's a guy that's going to be brought in to be a leader. Maybe he can help with special teams. He's played that before. But he's 34 years old. Regressed last year. He's coming off a hamstring injury. So maybe he could get back to his form the year before that, where he was actually pretty good. But he obviously wouldn't start. He'd be a depth piece. John, man, thank you very much. My man, you streaming the draft? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm streaming draft night. First, we're going to do the same thing we did last year. First night is going to be on Bad Dog's channel. Days 2 and 3 are going to be on mine. And I'm going to be doing 3 days leading up into the draft. So the 3 days leading up into the draft and the day of, I'll be live. Maybe the 2 days leading up and the day of, but I'm going to be live a lot midday leading up into the draft. And the day of, I'm going to be live midday for about 3 hours talking with you guys. talking about how excited we are. There's always rumors that pop the day of. There's going to be a lot to talk about the day of. We're all going to be very antsy, so I'm looking forward to that as well. And we'll probably do some mock drafts one-on-one with you guys, not so much with other YouTubers. I just feel like it's easier for me to communicate with the chat that way. You guys are kind of my co-host. I feel like it allows you guys to be more interactive. So we'll probably do one of those days where we do some mock drafts. Going to be doing a mock draft on Friday with Bad Dog as well on Talk of Giants on this channel. So it should be a lot of fun. DJ Smoothman, thank you very much. What's the biggest key for the Giants to be elite? Daniel Jones. Simple answer. Daniel Jones. But I think there's key factors into what will allow Daniel Jones to be elite. The offensive line, for one. The wide receivers, obviously, but Daniel Jones. If the Giants are going to be elite, Daniel Jones is going to take us there. I think the defense is already there, and I think they're only going to get better. The offense has to meet them, So, and obviously the quarterback has a lot to do with that. So Daniel Jones. What's going on there, Alvin, man? Gio says, Tana, you remember that report that said the Giants hope Parsons goes in front of them so they don't? Yes, I talked about that last week. And again, could be smoke. I think that came out from the New York Post, if I'm not mistaken, or the Daily News. And yeah, they talked about that the way you could have interpreted it at least was that they liked him, but they didn't want to have to take him because of his character concerns. But again, could be smoke. Glenn, man, thank you very much. Sorry, Tana, I meant Gettleman will trade up from 11 to take an edge rusher. Daniel Jones thinks it's a good idea. No chance. The New York Giants will absolutely not trade up from 11. I guarantee it. A 0% chance the Giants are going to trade up for 11 to take an edge rusher. They're not going to trade up from 11 to take anybody, but it definitely would not be an edge rusher. I guarantee that. Tyler, man, thank you very much. If Pitts and Slater are both gone, I want to trade down. Pitts is the only guy I want more than an offensive tackle in round one. Number 1, Pitts. Number 2, Slater. Number 3, Darisaw for me. Darisaw you could get if you trade down to 15 more than likely, and if not him, you'd probably get Elijah Vera Tucker if you still want an offensive lineman there if Darisaw goes to the Chargers or potentially the Vikings. So, yeah, I'm leaning that Slater will probably not be there. I am almost positive Pitts will not be there. I'm starting to lean that Pitts very well could go to the Atlanta Falcons. DJ Smoothman, thank you very much. DJ, top 5 in the league this year? No, I'm not going to lie to you. Top 5? You know how hard it is to be top 5? No, he's not going to be top 5. He doesn't need to be top 5. We can win games if he's not top 5. I'm hoping top 10. I'm hoping top 12, top 15. Top 5, I think you're asking for way too much. I don't expect that. But do I think he could be at least an average starting quarterback? Yeah, with the pieces we put in place. And that's what I expect this year. I expect him to take that leap, and we'll see what happens. What's going on there, Gucci Lopez, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. Brandon says DJ maybe top 25. Yeah, I'm hoping, Albin. I'm hoping league average. I think between 15 and 10. That's what I'm hoping for by year's end. That I can conclusively say he's in that range between 10 and 15. That's what I'm hoping. Being more acclimated to the scheme, having better weapons around him, hopefully the offensive line playing better, having Saquon Barkley back. I'm hoping he takes that step. Top 5, you're asking for way too much. Let's see what we got here. I don't really want to move behind the Vikings because they always seem to draft well. They drafted very well last year, Gio. They had a ton of picks, though. But they did draft very well last year. Mickey, man, thank you so much, man, for the $5 donation. That's an old school Giant right there, man. Thank you so much, man, for the $5 donation, man. I appreciate it, man. And John, man, thank you very much. He says, I know a lot of people want wide receiver for depth, but Shep and Slayton ain't scrubs. With Barkley back, I think our passing game will be fine. I would want us to add depth to cornerback, maybe Stokes in case of Adora getting hurt. Yeah, I've talked about cornerback. I actually had a cornerback going in my last mock. I had a cornerback going in my first mock. I personally wouldn't want to take one before the 3rd round, but I do. There's a handful I like. The one that I've said the most is Paulson Adebo. I see him going a lot in the 3rd or even 4th round area in a lot of these drafts. I think he's got great upside. A guy that agrees with me that I saw. Didn't see it before I started talking about Paulson Adebo, but I saw Vox Lombardi came out with his top 50. He had Paulson Adebo ranked 49th. He does great film reviews, so that's a guy that I like. That's a guy I've got my eye on in the 3rd or 4th round area. But I agree with you. I'd definitely be open to taking a corner at some point in this draft. As far as the wide receiver thing goes, I get the argument for wide receiver. The argument that I get for wide receiver more than anything else, though, is the fact that they're all injury prone. So I get that aspect. In terms of if they all stay healthy, I think this is a suitable receiving core. When you factor in Rudolph, when you factor in Barkley, I think it's a good wide receiving core. I'm not saying it's elite, but I definitely think it's a good one if they stay healthy. But I do get the argument that they're all injury prone, right? Barkley's had injury problems. Rudolph's coming in with an injury. Ingram, we all know, has had injury problems. Galladay had injuries last year. Shepard's had tons of concussion problems. So I get that aspect of it. So that I think is the strongest argument for taking a wide receiver. Not to mention, you don't know if Shepard's going to be in the long-term plans. DJ Smooth, man, thank you very much. Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, Wilson, DJ, book it. Bold, Chris, stocks up. I hope you're right, DJ. All I'm going to tell you is, DJ, if he's not top 5, don't kill the kid, because I don't think it's reasonable to expect him to be top 5 this year. Yeah, I like Wilson Adebo a lot. And I saw his list. I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool. He's with me on that one. Some of his top 50 was crazy. I think he had Trevor Lawrence as his third quarterback. But overall, I like some of the names that he had on his top 50. New Jersey Jake says, if we trade down to 15 and still get Parsons or Elijah Vera Tucker, then try to get more weapons and offensive line later in the draft, I'll cry. If we trade down to 15 and still get, you're out of happiness. Out of happiness. Absolutely. It'd be a great draft. Raphael, man, thank you very much. I want Waddle. He could be our Tyreek Hill. Listen, I've been on the Waddle train for a while, man. I'm a big fan of Jalen Waddle. If we go wide receiver at 11 and we take Jalen Waddle, I'll be very happy. I think Jalen Waddle could be a dynamite wide receiver in the NFL. Yeah, could easily be the best receiver in this year's draft class. I don't think he's a straight line speed guy. I don't think he's a slot guy. I think he's a very good wide receiver. I think he's going to be a very good wide receiver. What's going on there, Nicholas, man? Thanks for popping in. He says, how you doing this fine? I'm doing well, man. Getting to talk with the best supporters on YouTube. What's better than that? Thank you guys for being here, man. Yeah, I think he'll be gone too, Alvin. I think he's going to be the second receiver off the board. Does anyone else worry Waddle could still be hurt from last year? Well, they checked him out medically. They said he was completely fine. So I think these teams do their due diligence. If he's drafted, I wouldn't be too worried about it. Jamar Chase is the best. I think Jamar Chase is the best, John. I have Devontae Smith 3. I have Jalen Waddle 2. No, O-line is our biggest need. I agree with that. To me, it's O-line or edge rusher if you're talking just strictly need. Terrace Marshall or Kadarius Toney, second round. If he drops that far, I actually prefer Kadarius Toney for the Giants. Now, if you would have asked me that before free agency, I would have told you Terrace Marshall. But I feel like Kenny Golladay is like Terrace Marshall. So, they're both 6'4". That's the type of wide receiver that they are. I think Kadarius Toney brings that different element to the offense. So if you would have asked me that before free agency, I might have said Terrace Marshall. But now, and it's why I had Kadarius Toney mocked to us in my latest mock, I'd say Kadarius Toney. I actually like Kadarius Toney a lot. And if we were electing to go wide receiver in the second round and he was there, that's a guy I'd be completely on board with. Charles, man, thank you so much for the final donation. I appreciate it. John, man, thank you very much. Check out wide receiver Austin Watkins Jr. out of UAB. I'll write that name down, man. I have not seen him yet. I'm trying to watch all these late prospects. It's hard. But I'll look into him. Austin Watkins Jr. out of UAB. Okay, I will. He's related to he's related to Sammy Watkins. Interesting. Okay. Maybe not the best of news. Sammy Watkins kind of a bust, but Jason, man, thank you very much. Why are we not looking into Trey Turner, decent guard? My quick answer to you would probably be more so that he probably doesn't fit our budget at this point. I think Trey Turner's probably looking for a decent contract. We don't have a lot of money to shell out. That would be my quick answer because he obviously has ties to Dave Gettleman. So that would be my answer. I think he probably is looking for more money than what the New York Giants are able to offer. That's probably the answer if I had to guess. Yeah. And Chill Boy, man, thank you very much. Give me the Hogs for the. I love the Hogs, Chill Boy. I love the Hogs, my man. On draft, I already know it. Chill Boy, I already know it. If we're staying at 11, I'm gonna do my draft reaction video right now. If we're staying at 11, and if Slater is there, Giants are on the board. Slater's there. Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern. He can play all 5 parts of the offensive line. Very intelligent kid. The New York Giants, historically, with Joe Judge on the roster, they look for smart players. Great technique. Many argue he's the most technically skilled offensive lineman in this year's draft. Give me the molly. Slater's on the board. That's going to be my draft reaction. Giants are broke, man. Draft Vera Tucker. If we could trade down, I'd be open to Vera Tucker. If we could trade down, I'd like Vera Tucker. You may not see too many signings. I don't think there's going to be many signings, man. We're not taking Mac Jones. We're not taking Mac Jones. 9 more days, we shall see what the Giants do. I can't wait, John. I can't wait, John. The Giants mortgage the future to try and win this year. Brandon, I get where you're coming from with that, for sure. I agree and I kind of disagree at the same time. Because this is why I agree with what they did. This is when you're supposed to do it. You have your quarterback on his rookie contract. You have to be aggressive while you have the opportunity. If Daniel Jones is going to be the answer, we're going to end up paying this guy $45-50 million a year. And in order for us to find out whether or not he's going to be the answer, we have to do everything in our power to help him out as much as we can to provide him with a team. And I don't think we crushed our future as much as some people may lead on in the media. And they're all short contracts. They're 3-year deals, 4-year deal, but they could get out after 3 easily with Kenny Golladay. So, yes, they were aggressive. They spent a lot this year. Next year, they're going to have to be conservative, but they had to be aggressive. Yeah, Daniel Jones on the 3rd year of his rookie contract. That is the appropriate time to be aggressive when you have your quarterback entering the 3rd year on his rookie deal. You're going to have to pay him a lot of money in 2 or 3 years. We need to find out what we've got. So that's my answer to you. I think next year, yes, they'll be conservative. The cap's going to go up, but they'll be conservative. They backloaded a lot of these salaries. I think the next year the cap's going to open up and we'll be able to spend, we'll be able to add on this team, but you'll probably use that if all goes according to plan to extend Daniel Jones, potentially extend Saquon Barkley, do things like that. But I think they needed to be aggressive to give Daniel Jones the best opportunity they could on the rookie deal. And Cheyenne, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. How would you feel if the Giants trade down between 15 and 20 and Dave Gettleman pulls the trigger on Christian Barmore? Dave Gettleman loves those D. I actually like Barmore a lot. If they get him at 20, I'm not going to cry. I personally don't want to take a defensive tackle with our first pick. And I think Barmore is a great prospect. I like Barmore a lot. It's like our 5th or 6th biggest need right now. So I just, no. I would not be on board with that. I like him, though. I wish we could take him. I like him a lot. And if he ever got to the 2nd round, I'd be completely on board with it. But no. Hey, if we're trading to 15, 20, I think it's a lineman. I think it's an edge. I think that's what you're looking at. Pete, man, thank you very much. Defenders in the SEC West are the biggest, strongest, fastest in the NCAA. For Smith to win the Heisman at his size against them means he's generational. Let's draft him and start fitting the gold jacket. If he's generational, he's worth the pick. I'll say that right now. Now, if I wanted to play devil's advocate with you, Pete, and I completely get what you're saying, he's playing in the SEC, great. If I wanted to play devil's advocate with you, I could say he plays for Alabama. He plays on an NFL team. You're talking, you look, the last 2 drafts rather. The 4 best wide receivers, arguably, over the last 2 drafts have come out of Alabama, arguably. Obviously, Jamar Chase probably has something to say about that, but 4 of the top 6 wide receiving prospects have come out of Alabama. They have all-world offensive linemen. They've got Mac Jones. They've got the best running back in this year's draft. So if I wanted to play devil's advocate, I could say, well, look at the pieces around him. That certainly helps. He also has Nick Saban, but I do think he's going to be a very good wide receiver. I don't know if I would go as far to say generational, but I think he will be a very good wide receiver. Entertainer Sauce God, man. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, I heard Max wanted us to trade up for Lance. I heard that Max Kellerman doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. You know what? I'm going to tell you why Max Kellerman's saying that. I'm going to tell you why Max Kellerman's saying that. Because anybody, if they're being logical, knows the Giants aren't going quarterback. I'm going to tell you exactly why Max Kellerman's saying that. Because he, like I do, he thinks Trey Lance is going to be a good quarterback. I think Trey Lance is going to be a good quarterback, especially if he gets put in the right situation. The reason he's saying that is if Daniel Jones doesn't work out and Lance becomes a good quarterback, he could go back and say, I told you so. But anybody that's reasonable and rational knows the New York Giants are not taking a quarterback this year, and they're certainly not trading up for one. So there's no reason to even say it. Like, we're not taking a quarterback. It's not happening. Nor should it, to be honest with you. But that's why he's saying it. So he could go back and say, oh, well, I told you. I told you that we should have got Trey Lance. Xerox, man, thank you very much. I really can't wait till next season is going to be a lot of fun, man. I can't wait till next season starts, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be the most fun I've had on YouTube since I started this channel. It's going to be the most fun I've had on YouTube since I started this channel because I'm going into the year now with the expectations of playoffs. And I haven't had those expectations going into a year since I've been on YouTube. Zion, man, thank you very much. Mr. Oklahoma only played 2 full seasons out of his 5. Please blow out of control and shut me up. Let's not reach. But if Slater and Parsons are gone, we need depth. We've been injury prone at wide receiver for. Oh, no. I listen, Zion. I understand. I said that earlier. I completely understand the argument for taking a wide receiver. And a matter of fact, I agree with it. I just think offensive line is more important. But like I said earlier, if the top 2 linemen are gone and we're staying at 11, I may be leaning wide receiver if it was me. I may be leaning wide receiver and then get my lineman in the second if Slater was gone. For me, it would be between. My first preference would be Parsons, but then you have the character concerns. I would if I felt that Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle were elite wide receiver prospects, I would sooner take them than an edge rusher at number 11. So I think we kind of agree. But I may prefer to trade down than take the wide receiver if there's a trade there. Nicky, man, thank you very much. NFL Rumors tweeted, he's always right, Devontae. NFL Rumors tweeted about Devontae Smith? Or tweeted what? NFL Rumors tweeted, well, I'll look it up. I don't want you to have to donate again. I'll look it up. Maybe about the trade down. John, man, thank you very much. Max is stupid. We should all petition ESPN to fire Max and hire Chris. And if a team calls for, listen, I don't like to bash people in the mainstream media. I just give my opinions. I'm sure he'd have his opinions about me. It's easy to bash people when they're in the limelight. But obviously, there's people that are drawn away from ESPN. That's why people listen to podcasts. That's why people listen to YouTube, so on and so forth. But for me personally, and I would say it about Max Kellerman, I would say it about a YouTuber, I would say it about anybody that had that opinion. There's no reason to talk about it. It's not going to happen. And the only reason that you, in my opinion, would even bring it up is because you want to have an agenda if Daniel Jones fails to be able to say, well, I told you they should have taken a quarterback. They're not taking a quarterback. No team in their spot would be taking a quarterback. It's just not going to happen. So it's silly to even talk about. Zion, man, thank you very much. That was at the fans, not you. Oh, I know, Zion. I know, my man. And David, man, thank you very much. Panthers getting for quarterback hurts our chances. I agree. Still hope he's there at 11. I'll be happy to trade down for edge, help, and take Davis in round 2. You talking about the linebacker? Well, there's 2 Davises I like in round 2. I think maybe you're talking about Wyatt Davis because I would imagine you want to, especially if you're saying you want to go offensive line. I'm imagining you're talking Wyatt Davis. But I actually like the linebacker out of Kentucky as well. I think he's a good day 2 prospect as well, who's starting to move up draft charts also. I think it's Jamin Davis. I'm not 100% sure how the first name's pronounced, but I've watched some film on him. I like him. Entertain the Sauce Guy, man. Thank you very much. Max is the Skip Bayless of Giants, man. Well, I've watched, and I love, by the way, Knicks Fan TV. CP. I watched him go up against Max Kellerman. That was freaking awesome. He took him to the woodshed. He's gone up against him now about 4 times. Max seems like a good guy. To even, bring a guy like that on a show, I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. He's even denounced his fanhood with the New York Knicks. Now he says he's a Lakers fan, I think. And I want to say hello to Authentic, by the way. I thought he was talking to me, but he was talking to Entertainer the Sauce Guy. But I want to say hello to Authentic. And I want to give him a shout out about his channel. I always try to whenever he comes in. Authentic and the Beard, check them out. They got a great podcast. So check them out for sure. Authentic, thanks for popping in the stream, my man. Trade back. He's talking to somebody else in the chat. He says fireside. Well, everybody has their own preferences, New Wave, but I appreciate you popping in the stream. Yeah, I know. He's talked about it on Twitter, Albin. About Wyatt Davis, and he's not the. I actually mentioned that in one of my videos. What did Kellerman say? Kellerman said that he said that the New York Giants should trade up for a quarterback, that they should trade up for Trey Lance. It's not going to happen. Did he just, I don't even know what you're talking about, Brandon. What's up, Jameson? What time are you going live on draft night? I don't know. I'm not sure what time the draft normally starts. I think it's at 8. So usually maybe an hour before. I'm not sure. I'm going to be live during the day, though. I'll be live probably at like noon to 3, leading up into the draft. And then I'm going to go up. Then I'm going to go on Bad Dogs day 1. Then we're going to go on my day 2. But probably like at 40 minutes, maybe a half hour before the draft starts. It's probably when we'll go live. Aiden, man, what's going on, man? Hope you enjoyed your vacation, man. He says, sup, Chris. What's going on, Aiden, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. What's going on there, Nona? What are your thoughts on staying and taking Waddle or Smith? I'm completely okay with it. I'm completely fine with it. I prefer the lineman. I don't lie about that, but I'm completely fine with that. Trade back and take Xavier Collins. I like Xavier Collins too, out of Tulsa, right? I think it's Tulsa. He's a good all around linebacker. I like for me, it's probably if you're trading with the Bears, that's a guy maybe you could be looking at if you're trading down to 20. And I want to say hello to what's going on, Big Daddy Man. Glad to see you in here, buddy. John says you missed the second part of my. Oh, I'm sorry, man. He says if a team calls for Ingram for decent picks back in return, do you see us saying yes after Kyler? We don't need Butterfingers. Oh, after Kyle Rudolph. Yeah, no, yes. I think we could absolutely if the right deal presented itself, if you're asking me would we be open to trading Ingram, yes. Why wouldn't we be? I don't think he's in the long-term plans. So if he's not in the long-term plans, unless he's in the long-term plans, which I don't think he should be, if the right deal presents itself, I think the New York Giants should absolutely trade Evan Ingram. The question is, what's the right deal? What would you be willing to take in order to trade Evan Ingram? Is it a third-round pick? Is it a fourth-round pick? That's the question. But yes, I think if it met what they felt he was worth, the New York Giants would trade him. I don't know if a team's going to be willing to do that, especially when you factor in the salary cap. You know, there's probably not a lot of teams out there that could inherit $7 million or whatever Evan Ingram's making right now. But do I think it'll be traded before the draft? Probably not. Do I think it's possible he could be traded in season? Maybe. But that would mean the Giants aren't doing well, so I hope that's not the case. I hope he plays great this year, stays healthy, and then the New York Giants let him go and they get a comp pick for him. That's what I hope happens. Do I play Madden? I do not. I do not. Breland is visited. We signed Breland. Are you doing a live stream tonight? Yes, I always do the Knicks games. What's up, Chris? Without worrying about personnel, what do you like better, the 3-4 or the 4-3? I've gotten asked that. I do not play Madden. I've seen a couple people ask me that. I've been asked that since I started on YouTube. 3-4, 4-3. My answer to you is I don't really care. To me, it's more about the coaching staff and the personnel. You know, I've seen great defenses excel in the 3-4. I've seen great defenses excel in the 4-3. It's about getting the right coaches in here that could get the most out of their players. The Giants have had great success in both schemes, right? You go back to the 80s teams, they run the 3-4. You go back to the more modern teams, they run the 4-3. So my answer to you is I don't really care. Just get after the quarterback, play good defense. I think it's more the coaching more so than anything else. And we don't really run strictly a 3-4 or a 4-3. We run both. So I don't really have an answer for that. I think it's more so the coaching. But modern day NFL, I think a lot of teams are more trending towards a 3-4 alignment. A lot of teams are deception and they win through coverage. I think that's what a lot of the modern day defenses do. But I don't really have a preference one way or the other. Anthony, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, I know we don't like to trade in division, but if Washington offers us their first, we're not doing it. Second, and a future first, I feel that would be smart for the Giants. Sure. Okay, if Washington gave us the 20th, next year's first and next year's second, and it's way more than anybody else, sure. We're not trading with Washington. For the simple reason I told you earlier. If they trade up and get Trey Lance, and Trey Lance becomes the next Tom Brady, we're the laughing stock of the NFL for the next 20 years. New York Giants aren't going to hand a team in their division a potential franchise quarterback. I don't see it happening. So I just don't see it. Do you ever play? Yes, I do. I do play NFL fantasy. What do you think comes up for pick 11 and for who? Oh, who do you think comes up for pick 11? I think it's, like I've said several times, I think it's the Bears or the Patriots. Those are the two most logical teams for the simple reason quarterback. I think it's for a quarterback. And if it's not for a quarterback, well, maybe there's other potential teams, maybe that want a wide receiver. Maybe the Bears want to trade up for a wide receiver. They could use another one. Who knows? But I think the most logical thing to do would be to trade up for a quarterback. And the two teams that make the most sense behind us are New England and Chicago Bears. Dylan, man, thank you very much. Trade back with the Patriots for Rashawn Bateman. He's all right. He's good. I'd rather trade back to 20 to take Bateman if we're going to take him. He's good. I think he got overhyped by a lot of Giants fans after his pro day, and then you saw everybody else have their pro day. He's good. He's a good wide receiver, very good wide receiver. I would rather take somebody else if I'm at 15 than Rashad Bateman. Would you be mad if we stayed and took an edge? No. Would it be what I would do? No. Am I going to flip out and say the world is over? No. I just hope they pick the right edge because I know it's a need, and I'm going to trust Patrick Graham to get the most out of him. Would I flip out? No, I'm not going to flip out. How much money do you make a day at your job? I'm not going to answer that question. I love that people come in here and ask that. I'm not going to answer that question. And Alphabet, man, thank you very much. The right deal to get Ingram off this team is called As Soon as Possible. Ingram's theme song is Na 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 Na. Goodbye. I know Giants fans want to get rid of him by any course of action. They're not going to do it. The Giants aren't going to just trade him away for nothing. So we could say that, we could hope for that, we could pray for that. We're not gonna trade him away for nothing. So that's my answer to you. We're not gonna trade him away for nothing. I think it would require a 3rd round pick, maybe a 4th, but I think it would require a 3rd round pick. I don't think we're trading him away for nothing. And Mallymall, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. New York sucks, but love your channel. Hashtag how about them Cowboys? I appreciate it, man. Some of my best subscribers are Cowboys fans, Eagles fans. So I appreciate it for checking out the channel, man. Thank you very much. And we're gonna kick your ass this year. We're gonna kick your ass, and you know it. Al, man, thank you very much. Sup, ain't a defense, BPA at 11 or trade down. Let's go Mets. Can't wait, man. Can't wait for the Mets the rest of this year. I'm gonna be trying to build up that Mets channel that I'm starting to do. But yeah, I think BPA. I think that's what I'm at, Al. I think that's what I'm at. It's just my BPA may differ with some of you guys, but I think that's where I'm at. I think I'm at BPA. I personally have Slater above one of the wide receivers that I think could be there, but I'm at BPA at 11 or trade down. I think I'm with you on that. I would not take an edge at 11 if it was me. Ingram, man, thank you very much. I can imagine you screaming if the New York Giants. I will be, but it won't happen. I would be, I should say, because it will not happen. But yeah, you know what? I don't even think I would scream though. People have asked me about that before. If the Giants took Mac Jones or if they took a quarterback, I don't even think I would scream. I think I would just sit there in awe and not say a word. Like I would say to myself, what just happened? I don't even think I would scream. I think I would just be dumbfounded. And I may just close out the stream. Like I would probably just take my laptop, close it, and go upstairs and cry for 3 hours. Aiden, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. And yours said, man, what's going on? Aiden says, how much does Chris make a stream? Enough to keep bringing you lazy. Hey, man, thank you very much, buddy. Xerox, man, thank you very much. Did you see Rondell Moore on Pat McAfee's show? He had the person. I did not. The thing that's funny is, and I would love to get players on my channel. I don't reach out enough. And there's probably a lot of players that probably don't want to come on my channel because sometimes I say things they may not want to hear. But the thing is, a lot of times I'll watch player interviews on, YouTube channels or, on TV, whatever. A lot of times they're boring. It would be great to get to talk with them, but a lot of times they're boring. And to be fair, a lot of times the players aren't gonna. They almost are trained to be boring. They're almost trained to be robotic, because they don't want to give away too much information. But no, I didn't get an opportunity to watch it. I actually enjoyed Aaron Rodgers this year on the Pat McAfee show. I thought it was really entertaining. I actually thought it helped his reputation in terms of his personality. Brandon, man, thank you very much. I'm a skin fan, and I find myself watching more of your vids than any of ours. Wish we had more passionate, entertaining YouTubers. Giants fans are lucky to have you. Anyways, Giants suck. And hail to the football team. Brandon, man, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. And that's awesome, man. Like I said, man, there's tons of subscribers of mine that are fans of other teams. So I appreciate you for checking out the channel. I appreciate you for sticking with the channel. And yeah, we're kicking your ass this year. And you know that. Brandon, I actually respect Washington this year. I really do. I think Washington is going to be good. It's going to come down to Fitzpatrick. But I saw something on Twitter today that I thought was hysterical. Somebody posted, I forgot what it was. Somebody posted something. And then a Washington fan said, it was about the trade rumor. I could actually probably find it if I wanted to. But it was about the trade rumor from Ian Rappaort. And a Washington fan said that we own the Giants anyway. And I looked at it, I said, even the most insane Washington fan wouldn't say that. You guys haven't beaten us since 1837. You never beat us. We could have the worst team in football and we'd sweep you. It's just the way it works. It's like us with the Eagles. We can't beat them. But I just laughed at that. Tyler, man, thank you very much. Time to message DJ to get him on the chat. That'd be awesome. But if he saw my reaction, he probably wouldn't come on. Amaya, what's going on? She says Waddle or Slater would be beautiful at 11. Yeah, I would love either one of those two players. Those are probably my two favorite players that could potentially be there at 11. Outside of Parsons, I like Parsons too, but Waddle's my favorite receiver that I think is realistically could be there. And yeah, I love Slater. Stand up. What's going on there, Jeremy? Man, thanks for popping in the stream. Washington, I'm amazing guy. I didn't mean it literal, but we always beat them. Watch, okay, amazing guy. I am gonna pull up for you. I'm gonna pull up for you, Washington guy. Washington versus the New York Giants series. Let's take a look at the record. Okay, here's the old-time game results. The New York Giants and the Washington football team have played a career. Let me get the numbers right. 105 plus 69 is 174 plus 4. They played 178 combined games. The New York Giants have won 105. They've lost 69, and they've tied 4. In the last 5, the New York Giants have won all 5. So they have a sizable advantage over the Washington football team, both historically and recently. So yeah. And John, man, thank you very much, man. My man, he says, stand up, the entertainer. What's up, buddy? You're the man. As always, be careful what you do on the channel because the Giants watch and copy you in bed with the roundtables. You also join the Eagles. I'll never do that. But I did see that. I don't know if maybe they copied us. I know a lot of people said that yesterday. Maybe they did. I mean, one guy said in the comments, and I agreed with him, roundtables aren't like a new thing. I know it's popular on YouTube to do NFC's roundtables. They probably copied us, which is pretty cool, actually, I think. But I plan on doing more of those this year. But that was cool that the Giants channel did that. I watched a little bit of it. I'm going to be honest. I was kind of bored. But yeah. David, man, thank you very much. No trades with division rivals. Let's kick these no-names, cowgirls, and feebles asses. That's the Eagles after tanking for a high. We're gonna beat the Eagles this year. We're gonna beat the Eagles this year. And we're not trading with any division rivals. I think this will finally be the year that we finally sweep the Eagles. I really believe that. I'd be surprised if we don't. I think we're gonna come out motivated. I don't think the Eagles are that good this year. I think the Giants are much better. They got a new coach. They're gonna have to get. I hope we get the Eagles early in the year. New coach, not a lot of talent. I think they're going to come out very slow out of the gate. I hope we get the Eagles as early as possible. If we can play them twice in the first 6 weeks, I'll be ecstatic. I'm hoping we get to play the Eagles very early. I think we're going to beat up on them. Michael, man, thank you very much. Here a trade in a bag of chips and a 12-ounce Dr. Pepper. Brownie, yes, I am doing the Knicks game tonight. And King the Kevin, man, thank you so much, man, for the $2 super sticker. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for being a great supporter. Awesome content. I'm hooked. Go G-Men. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for checking out the channel. I try. I don't claim to be the best. Got people in here telling me, oh, this guy's better. This guy, I don't care. If you like my content, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate everybody who supports the channel. Thank you guys for checking out the content. Let's go, Knicks. What's going on there? Nona, man. What's going on, Emmanuel? Quickly, what's going on there? KP. Alex says, really hope we trade down. Need more picks in this stacked class. Yeah, I would love to trade down personally, unless Slater's there. I would love to take Slater, but I am all for trading down. I know a lot of fans don't want to. I'm all for trading down if it's for the right price and we get more draft capital. Because I personally, I really think the New York Giants are considering going edge. And if they're truly considering going edge, I want them to trade down. I've been scared that they're going to go on edge now for about a week or two. And I don't even want to say I'm scared because I do trust the coaching staff. I just think you could get that player 4 picks later. So if they're going to do that, I want them to trade down. So I'm almost at a point now where I'm hoping they trade down because I'm starting to believe we're going to go edge. And maybe it's all smoke, and maybe that won't be the case, and maybe we'll go wide receiver, or maybe we'll go offensive line, but we'll see. Thoughts on McCourty might be I talked about that earlier, Yursev. I think it'd be great. I think he's a leader. I think he'd provide depth. He's not going to start for us, but I think he'd be a nice piece to add to the New York Giants. Tatum, my brother, can't wait for your reaction for the draft when we draft. I'd be excited if we draft Waddle, Joe. I'll be excited if we draft Waddle. Oh yeah, you'll see me pumped up if we draft Waddle. There's probably like 5 players if we take, I'll be pumped up. He's one of them. I'm a big fan of Jalen Waddle. So you're not going to see an upset thing if we draft Jalen Waddle. That's for sure. Might not be my number one, depending on who's there, but I'd be happy if we took him. George says, sorry, I just got here. Can you do a quick recap of what your thoughts are? Yeah, about the rumors. I mean, real quick, my initial thoughts when I heard the rumors, one, I think that there's some validity to it. It doesn't mean that a trade's going to happen, George. I'm not going to pull it up again, but if you go on Twitter, you can see exactly what Ian Rappaort had to say. There's even a video on it on his tweet. So my initial reaction is I don't know if it's definitely going to happen, but my initial thought process was if it is going to happen, to me, that rules out the possibility of drafting a wide receiver. If they want to take a wide receiver, I think they're going to take him at 11. If they're looking to trade down, I think it's pointing more towards drafting an edge rusher or maybe getting more value on the offensive line if they feel like Rashawn Slater's not going to be there. But I would say like 75%, 80% of me feels like they're going to go edge if they're trading down, or even if they're legitimately looking to trading down. I think that points to that they're legitimately considering taking an edge based off everything we've heard, based off the rumors in free agency, based off the pro days that Joe Judge went to, based off the need at the position. That's my thought process. Pete, man, thank you very much. I could point out that Waddle also benefited from Bama's great team. You're right. Didn't do close to what Smith did in the same season, despite being the first option before his injury. That's not true, Pete. That's not true. I'm going to tell you stats right now. Jalen Waddle was actually, I'm almost positive, outperforming Devontae Smith before the injury. Jalen Waddle last year, I'm going to give you his stats. He got hurt. He was hurt in the Ohio State game, so you can't look at that. He played hurt. He had 3 catches for 34 yards, but he played hurt. He played in 4 games last year. I'm going to give you Jalen Waddle stats in 4 games. 8, and he went up against Missouri. He went up against 13th ranked Texas A&M. He went up against Ole Miss, and he went up against 3rd ranked Georgia. These are his stats. 8 catches, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. 5 catches, 142 yards, 1 touchdown. 6 catches, 120 yards, no touchdowns. And against Georgia, 6 catches, 161 yards, and 1 touchdown. In 4 games, he exceeded 120 yards in all 4 of them. He averaged over 20 yards a catch in 3 of the 4 contests. He averaged 28 yards a catch against A&M, 27 yards a catch against Georgia. So in 4 games, he has 600 yards. He had 591 yards in 4 games and 4 touchdowns. So no, he was very productive for Alabama before he went down. And Frank, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, "What edge do you think the Giants are highest on?" I think I'm leaning Azeez Ojulari, and I've said why. I think it's schematic fit and everything else, but that's a guess. I don't have any insider information. That's purely a guess. That's speculative on my part. I just think he fits our defense the best at the need that we have on the edge. And not to mention we have ties, Georgia, we have Kevin Sherr. He was his head recruiter. We were looking to bring in an edge rusher in free agency, very similar in terms of his build and in terms of the type of player that he is. So that's kind of where my head is at. Now, it could be JOK. It could be Kwity Paye. It could be Jalen Phillips. It could be a number of guys. But if I had to guess, I would say Azeez Ojulari. But it's purely a guess. Juice Alert, my man. Love Juice Alert. Go over there. Check him out, man. What's going on, buddy? Got an opportunity to go over there. He's got a great channel. He's a great guy. Big Packers fan. He says, should the Giants move on from Daniel Jones and trade up for a quarterback? I know Max Kellerman said it. No. And I know you're not a big Daniel Jones fan. No, they should not. Now, yeah, I think you have to give Jones the year. I think that was the plan from the start. That's what the Giants did. They went out there. They spent like lunatics to give Jones everything they can. Of course, you could be, you like that. I said why Max Kellerman's doing it, so he could sit up on top of his soapbox and be like, I said it. They should have gotten Trey Lance. No. The New York Giants are going to stick with Jones. They're going to give him the year. They're going to give him an opportunity to improve. You could have said the same thing about Baker Mayfield last year. Why didn't the Browns move on from Baker Mayfield? They could have traded up and gotten so-and-so. They could have traded up and gotten Tua. They could have traded up and gotten, blah, blah, blah. He regressed the prior year. So I think the Giants are going to give Jones his 3rd year. They improve the team around him. He's going to be the quarterback. No, I don't even think it's realistic. I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think they should do it. And if Jones fails, that's when you go quarterback shopping. And I've talked about it in terms of a hypothetical. I talked about it on Bad Dogs channel. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's pie in the sky. I think Jones is going to be the guy next year as well. But if, say we go 8-9, 9-8, and Jones isn't very good, I get where heads are at. You're in quarterback hell. One avenue I can see the New York Giants looking to go to if they feel like Jones isn't the guy going forward is trade. Look to trade for a guy that plays on your team. Juice Alert. You guys did draft Jordan Love. LA Lou, man, thank you very much. What about the Giants trading down and taking a center? I think they'll take a center in the second round. I don't think they'll take a center in the first round. I think if they take a center, I think they'll take a center in the second round. John Letourneau, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, Chris, see what the Giants have done to you with brainwashing, which sucks because you're an amazing guy and content creator. But no matter what, the Eagles rule. Oh, you're not ruling us this year, my man. You're not ruling us this year, my man. Absolutely not. You're not ruling us this year, my man. But I do like Creed Humphrey. I don't see us drafting a center, though, that early. I actually have Humphrey going to the Steelers at number 24. And Alvin says, Tata, did you hear the Pats are going to send the 15th pick for Jordan Love on draft night? It just got leaked. No, I did not hear that. But when you get that information, who are you getting it from? Are you getting from some no name on Twitter? Or are you getting it from a reliable source? Alphabet, man, thank you very much. Max Kellerman is the Evan Ingram of sports commentating. He drops verbal bombs that grind his show to a halt. Yeah, I think he's just saying things to say it, and he's hoping it sticks. Everybody knows we're not drafting a quarterback. And Juice Lord, man, thank you very much. He says, the Giants are my pick to win the NFCs to 2021. Waddle would be a great pick at 11, or Devontae Smith if he's there. However, Gettleman might take Parson or an offensive lineman. Take care, Chris. Juice, man, you're the man, dude. Anytime you want me to come back on the channel, anytime you want, I love talking Aaron Rodgers. You know I love talking Packers. So anytime you want to come on the channel or I come on your channel, would love to do it. That was one of the best interviews. It might have been the best interview I've ever done since I've been on YouTube. You did a great job. If you guys have not checked out Juice Lord, please do so. He's a great guy. As far as and that's the other thing, by the way, which I want to talk about that too. And I should have said it in my reasoning as to why we're not trading up for a quarterback. The other thing that Max Kellerman didn't say, Dave Gettleman drafted Daniel Jones. Dave Gettleman is still the GM. Dave Gettleman is not going to trade up to replace Daniel Jones. It's not happening. It's stupid to even bring up as a topic. It's not going to happen. But as far as that goes, listen, if we get Waddle or Devontae Smith, I'm completely on board with it. I could see them absolutely taking Parsons or a lineman. I am completely fine with all three of those options. Completely fine. If you feel like we need another wide receiver, I think there's going to be talent in the second. And I think we definitely need to continue to rebuff that offensive line. And we definitely could use a playmaker like Parsons on the defensive side. I'm completely fine with all three options. And we'll see what they elect to do. If they're legitimately looking to trade down, it would lead me to believe that they're not going to be going wide receiver. But we'll see, Juice. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. If that's legitimate, may not be. Yo, what's going on there, Hunter Faye, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. Yeah, I saw that amazing guy. He's talked about how he liked MSG. It's Knicks for clicks. If you're new to basketball, and I don't know if you are or not, it's a term that Knicks fans use. It's Knicks for clicks. ESPN, they know that the New York fan base is very passionate, and they know if they say anything about the New York Knicks, it's going to draw headlines. It's going to get clicks. Maybe it happens, but it's pie in the sky stuff right now. Alphabet, man, thank you very much. Being serious, I could see us drafting a quarterback in the later round. That's possible. Yeah. That's possible. In the sixth round, we don't have a seventh. Well, unless we trade down, we could. But we don't have a fifth and a seventh. But we have 2 sixths. Practice squad and develop a new back. I could see that. I personally am against that. I would not be happy if we drafted a quarterback this year for the simple reason we only have 6 picks. Now, if you traded back and you got 2 more picks, you want to take a quarterback in the 6th round that you feel like could be a future backup, okay. But the fact we only have 6 picks, I think we need to help this team out as much as we can. I thought we actually brought in an improvement at the backup quarterback position in free agency. So I would not draft one. Now, if you had a couple more picks, I'm okay with it. George, man, thank you very much. What will we get if we trade with the Pats? And are there any other teams we trade down with? By the way, Kellerman is a moron. Yeah, it's the Patriots or Bears for me. I think those are the 2 most logical. I actually talked about this in my video yesterday. If you look at the Josh Rosen trade, and I think that, because whenever I talk about like hypothetical trades, Cruz, man, I wanted to say hello to you, man. What's going on, buddy? If when I like to talk about hypothetical trades, I like to look back at history and see very similar circumstances. The Arizona Cardinals were picking 15th. They moved up to 10 to get Josh Rosen. Here it would be 15 to 11. So you figure it would be a very comparable price. The Cardinals, I think they got like the 79th. Obviously, they got the 15th pick, the team that traded down with the Cardinals. They got the 15th pick, and then they got the 79th pick, which translates to a mid-third rounder, and they got a mid-fifth. So they got a mid-third and a mid-fifth. So that is around what I think the Giants would get. Now, if you look at the Patriots, I think their only third-round pick, if I'm not mistaken, they have 10 picks, and I'd have to go back and look. I could be wrong on this. Maybe they have a very early third-round pick, but they have a comp pick. They're pick 96. So the Patriots, if I had to guess, if we were going to get 2 picks in this year's draft, I think it would be their third-round comp pick at 96 and their first fourth-round pick, which is around 120. So I think you're looking at something like that, 96 and 120 plus 15 for number plus 15 for number 11. I think you're looking at something like that in that area, if I had to guess. And as far as the Bears go, the trade I compared it to was the trade for Josh Allen. It was only 5-spot difference with Josh Allen. You're talking a 9-spot difference here, but the difference is the Bills traded up to 7. The 7th pick carries a lot more value than the 11th pick. So I thought it was pretty fair. 12-7. I think it was 20 to you're talking 20 to 11, and I think it's comparable to 12-7. They got 2 second-round picks in that trade, but they were both in the same draft. So a future second-round pick traditionally is comparable to a third-round pick in the current draft. That's how I would equate it. So I think you're looking at maybe 2 seconds, a second this year and a future second, maybe a second this year, a third this year, and a future third, something along those lines if you're to trade down with the Bears. That would be my guess. That would be what I'd be asking for based on history. And just want to make sure I didn't miss him. I think we're good. How do you feel about Jeremiah out of the – I like him. You're talking about JOK? I like him. I think JOK is a good prospect, especially if we got him at 15 if we traded down. Fits the scheme very well. Been live for an hour and a half. Thank you to everybody for being here, man. I appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell. Going to be doing a lot of these midday streams as the draft gets fast approaching. I was going to do a video today, but you know, I said I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to talk about this. We'll go live. We'll talk about it on the midday. I know you guys love the midday streams. With the rumor that came out, the press conference, everything else. I'm going to be going live probably the 2 days prior to the draft, along with the day of. And then obviously I'll be live for the draft, the first day on Bad Dogs, the first night on Bad Dogs, I should say, the next 2 days, second night and the third day on my channel for the draft. And obviously I'll be recapping all the picks and everything else. And then in season, we'll be doing a ton of these midday streams, probably previewing the matchup, talking around the league, so on and so forth. So I appreciate everybody for being here. Do you think we should trade down? Yes, if the right deal presents itself. And it's circumstantial, so I don't know who's going to be there at 11. But yes, if the right deal presents itself and we feel like we could get the player that we want at 11 at 15. So I think it all depends. If they want to go edge, I think we should trade down. There's my quick answer to you, man. If we want to go edge, we should trade down. If there's a deal there. Yeah, Dr. Drake, I can't wait for the season to start, man. Yeah, I'm streaming the Knicks game. I stream every Knicks game. So I miss one here and there, but yes, I'm streaming the Knicks game tonight. What's going on there, Pete, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. The press conference was on Giants.com. That's where I saw it. I don't know if they have to re-upload it. I don't know if it's there now. I watched it live on Giants.com. George, man, thank you very much. You prefer a first next year or a second this year? I think I'd prefer a first next year. I think I would always take the future first. Yeah, because especially from a team like the Patriots or the Bears, you know, you don't know how that team's going to do. What if that team has injuries? What if they have a top 7 pick, 8 pick next year? So I would always prefer the first to a second, future first to a current second. I would always take the future first. Now, if you're talking current third versus future second, I may change my mind because I may feel like we need more of an immediate presence. But I think I would always prefer the future first to the current second. Yeah, I would gamble and hope that I get a top 10 pick. So, yeah, I think I would take the future first. What's up, Jameson, man? Ordinary Pete says, just got home from Home Depot. Wife is making me build her a hydro growing system for food. I told her I get to grow a couple of 420 plants. Well, it's legal now, right? In New York. I don't know where you're from, Pete, but in New York, I think it's legal now. Matt, man, what's going on? Tana, stand up. Who are the possible available players at 11 that you would be upset if we pass on and trade down? Slater. I'm not going to be upset if we don't take a wide receiver. I know some Giants fans will be. I'm not going to be upset if we don't take a wide receiver. And I'm not going to be upset if we don't take Parsons because I'd understand it due to the character concerns. That would be how I would, tell it to myself. I would say, okay, they're worried about his character concerns. I'll be very happy if we take a receiver, but I'm not going to cry if we trade down and don't take one because of it. I wouldn't even cry if we didn't take Slater. But if you're asking me which guy do I want the most that could be there, Slater. Chris, you think that roundtable on Twitter yesterday is going to happen? It might. We'll see. What's up there, James O'Mones? Yes, I have a part-time job, John. Nonstop says, Chris, do you think every New York team is going to be exciting this year? No. The Jets, I don't think will be exciting. Well, I mean, the Jets might be exciting because you get to watch a young quarterback. But in terms of having the possibility of making the playoffs, I'm going to say no. I think the Yankees will rebound. I think the Mets are going to be good. I think the Knicks are going to make the playoffs. The Nets are obviously final contenders if they could stay healthy and get everybody together. And the Giants, I think, will be competitive. But I'm not a big hockey guy. I know the Islanders are doing well, but I would say the Jets are not going to be playoff contenders at all. But it'll be fun to see their young quarterback. When's the last time we had the number one pick? Number one. Well, we traded up for Eli. We didn't have that pick. I know for a fact when we had the number 2 pick for Saquon, the last time we had that, I believe, was when we drafted Lawrence Taylor. That's the number 2 pick. So if we had a number 1 pick, it was before that. And if we've had it, I don't know when. It was before Lawrence Taylor in the 70s, if we've had it. I definitely not before Lawrence Taylor. Not my lifetime, that's for sure. Who do you compare Micah to? Devin White, I think, is a decent comparison. Devin White, I think, might have been a little bit better of a prospect coming in. He was incredible. But I think Devin White, in terms of recent drafts, is who the guy I'd probably compare him to most. Peter, man, thank you very much, man. Waddle, 142 yards per game over 4 games. Smith, 142 yards over 13, but he averaged two. Well, to be fair, Pete, he also didn't have Waddle. I think the fairest way to do that, if you're gonna look side by side, how did Devontae Smith do in the games in which Waddle played? Because, of course, Devontae Smith's going to get more targets. He's going to put up better numbers when Waddle's out of the lineup. He's all of a sudden, by far and away, the number 1 option. So I think if you're going to look, compare them when they played in the same games. So take the 4 games that Waddle played in, take those 4 games for Smith, and see how they did. I think the argument for people that prefer Waddle is that Devontae Smith's production went way up after Waddle went down with an injury. And to be honest with you, I didn't look side by side. Matter of fact, I can. Let's see the games real quick. Georgia, Mississippi, A&M, and Missouri. So let me look. And by no means am I saying Smith is bad. He's very good. But Missouri, Texas A&M, okay. Let's take a quick look at Devontae Smith's stats. Let's see. I think it was ESPN where I could look at the game-by-game stats. Let me see. Let's see. Why is it not showing me? It just shows recent games. There should be a way to look at the game. Oh, game log. Here we go. Okay, so A&M. All right, Missouri had 89 yards. A&M, he had 63 yards. The other 2 games he played very well. He had 167, 164. But overall, I would say that Waddle outperformed him. Waddle had no less than 120 yards in any of those 4 games. Smith only had 63 yards in the second game. He only had 89 yards in the first. And in terms of their yards per catch, Waddle averaged over 20 yards in 3 out of the 4 games. Devontae Smith only averaged 11, 10.5, 12.6, and 15.2. He then had big production after Waddle went out of the lineup. He averaged 28.9 yards a catch against LSU, 24.4 yards a catch against Auburn, 18.5 against. So his production undeniably went up after Waddle went down. He had 203 yards after he went down. In one game, 144, 171, 231, 184, 130, 215. So I think that's the argument there. Let's see. Tucker Frederickson, 65. What's up, Chris? Had to close a massive set at work before. Hope it went well, John, man. Thanks so much for popping in the stream, man. Just talking about the rumor that came out today. I'll pull it up. I don't know if you've heard about it, but I'll pull it up for you because I know a lot of people are asking it that are coming into the stream. This is the rumor that came out today from Ian Rappaort. I'll play the video again real quick for anybody that's popping in for the first time. Let me just pull it up here. Let me find it. Right here. So let me get the volume going.
I don't believe he
actually. I don't need to pull it up. I'll just play the audio.
I have checked with research a couple times, and I don't believe he has ever traded down. And I know he has not traded down in the first round. He's been a general manager in charge of drafts for 8 years. No trade downs. I don't think any trade downs at all. But Mike, this might actually be the year. And I know that sounds crazy, but I believe this is something inside the organization they're firmly considering for a couple different reasons. Think about the players who might be there. And look, this is a draft where you probably have 13, maybe 14 special players. They might get someone willing to pay a premium to trade up, and maybe they could slide back a little bit, get some value. This is a team I know they would like to build. And you think of where Joe Judge is from, New England, obviously. They love to trade back. They love to gain value, love to make use of those mid-round picks. A perfect opportunity for the Giants, who don't have just a crazy glaring need to really cash in on some of those mid-round picks.
So that was Ian Rappaort
research a couple times
talking about the possibility of the Giants trading down. And in his tweets, he said, from the NFL now, the Giants are open to trading back from number 11. This is coming from Rappaort. This is a credible guy, which would be the first time for Dave Gettleman. He also, earlier in the day, said the Giants are slated to pick number 11 in the NFL draft, and trading back is already something they are internally considering. I'm told that spot will have real value. How rare would a trade down be? GM Dave Gettleman was never traded down in the first round. So those are the things that came out today from Rappaort about a potential trade. And my first thought process when I read it was that I think they're leaning away from going wide receiver. That was my thought process, because if they trade down, I think it's more so for an edge or an offensive lineman. J-Man, thank you very much, man. Thoughts on Jason away from Penn State as a trade down sleeper? Yeah, me personally, I'm completely fine with taking him in the second. I think 15 it's too early. I know he had a great pro day. I know people see the raw physical attributes, and I think he ran like a 4.3 something. I get it. I think it's too early. The guy didn't have a sack last year, and I know he got pressures, and I know he's got ability, and maybe you feel like with the coaching you get the most out of him. I think it's too early. Personally, there's other guys I would prefer at 15 if we traded down. Cruz on, man, thank you very much. One Giants podcast is a good channel, but they get no views. Help them out. There's 5 views in an hour. One Giants podcast. I'll write him down, man. I'll definitely have him on the channel. I'll try to reach out to him. One Giants podcast. Okay. I'll look into him. Cruz on for sure. I always try to get newer channels on, so I'll definitely reach out to him, man. David, man, thank you very much. Giants only had the first overall pick twice. The first in 1951, again in 1965, and yet, yeah, I didn't. I know it's before my time, and I knew that Lawrence Taylor before Barkley was the last time we had the number 2 overall pick. So, yeah, I knew it had to be before. I think it was 1981 when we took LT. Zion, man, thank you very much. Random thought, I'm real interested to see Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence turn Jacksonville into a winning organization. Jacksonville is young, going to head out. Giants for life, Max is Joe. I appreciate that, Zion, man. Thank you very much. We'll see. You know, a lot of times, you know, college coaches will come in and people just assume they're going to be great. You know, Nick Saban's a perfect example. You look at Nick Saban. Nick Saban is a terrific collegiate coach, probably the greatest college coach of all time, at least in my lifetime, out of Alabama. Didn't do great in the pros. Now, granted, it was a limited sample size. And, you know, a lot of people say had Drew Brees ended up with the Miami Dolphins, he would have been great. But we'll see. You know, he may be good. He may not be in terms of a head coach. A lot of people thought that Chip Kelly was going to be a great head coach with the Philadelphia Eagles. That didn't work out. But I think he took the job, you know, knowing full well Urban Meyer that Trevor Lawrence was going to be his quarterback. It's going to come down to building the team around him, the offensive line and everything else. I think they've got pretty good weapons, but they got to make sure they give him a good line. Grim, man, thank you very much. I'm guessing they trade down if they are comfortable with Phillip, most talented, or Ojulari, the safest. If one is gone, grab the other. I think I agree with you. I think I'd probably have Ojulari 1 in terms of what I guess they do, and I'd probably have Jalen Phillips 2. I don't think it'll be Kwity Paye. I know a lot of people say Kwity Paye. I don't think it'll be Kwity Paye. I don't think it's the type of edge rusher that the Giants are looking for, unless they're completely in love with him. Do you like Tamorrion Terry? I do. I'm not in love with where he's going in mock drafts. I think on PFF he's like in the 7th round. I do like him. He's a tall threat. He's 6'4" out of Florida State. He's more of a fourth-round target, potentially. Maybe a fifth round target, potentially, but we don't have a fifth-round pick. Sure. And Xerox, man, thank you very much. How funny would it be if we drafted Waddle and the Giants gave him the number 13 jersey? Odell would be pissed. Yeah, he probably would be. But didn't Pettis wear 13? I think Dante Pettis is still on the team. I think he wore 13, if I'm not mistaken. He did, because I remember when he first made the catch, I, for like a brief second, when he made his first catch, I was like, is Odell back on the team? But Dante Pettis is still on the team. He'd have to give up his number. But maybe Odell would be pissed, but he has no right to be pissed. It's not like his number's retired. But yeah, he might be pissed. That would be thrown in his face a little bit. Slater's elite footwork, but if we look to move him to guard, he lacks the sufficient strength. That's very concerning. Yeah, his chemistry is great. Not his chemistry, his technique is great, everybody says. But yeah, people point to his strength. He doesn't have a great punch. People say he doesn't finish his blocks as well as some people may like. I've seen things like that. I think he's going to be really good. From everything I've seen on film, Voch Lombardi, I think is terrific. He friggin' loves that guy. He's got him ranked second on his big board. He's a former offensive lineman. I think Rashawn Slater is going to be very good. And the girl talks sports. She's got a channel. I've been on her channel before. Glad to see her popping in the stream. Would it be crazy if they drafted an offensive lineman in the first round 2 years back to back? No, I don't think it would be. I look at all these teams. The Saints have drafted 4 offensive linemen in the last 6 years. I think it is in the first round. The Dallas Cowboys did it like 3 times in 4 years in the first round. That's how they built up their offensive line. There's several teams that do that when you're trying to get your offensive line established. Now, I think there's definitely valid arguments to not take an offensive lineman in the first round, and I'm willing to listen, and I'm willing to understand where those people are coming from. And I think there's definitely valid arguments to going Micah Parsons, taking a wide receiver. But do I think it's crazy? No. Not if you could get a guy like Rashawn Slater. Our offensive line last year gave up the second most sacks in football. I know that they're young. I know that we need them to develop. But no, I don't think it's crazy at all. J-Man, thank you very much. If Slater or Penei Sewell are sitting there at 11 and they trade down, would you think that's a mistake in that scenario? Do you agree with Mel Kiper that the O-line will tell the story of next season? I 100% agree with Mel Kiper. Whether we draft an offensive line or whether we don't, because I've said countless times, you could have all the weapons in the world. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs, they couldn't do anything in the Super Bowl because they couldn't block. So I completely agree with Mel Kiper on that. Whether we address the offensive line early in this year's draft or whether we don't, if that offensive line is second worst in the league next year, we're not doing anything on offense. So I do think it's going to tell the story of this team. Would I be upset if we traded down? If Penei Sewell was there, I probably would be. I'm not going to go crazy. What would be my preference if one of those two are there? Draft them. I wouldn't go insane, but yes, my preference would be to draft one of those two if they were there, especially Penei Sewell. His upside is just too high. Cruz on, man, thank you very much. Peter Schrager got his draft in Hornet. I saw that. Was that the CBS mock, Cruz on? I don't know if that. I saw a CBS mock today, and I didn't know it was Pete Schrager, but I saw a CBS mock today where they had J.C. Horn going 11 to the Giants, and my jaw dropped. And I even posted in my Discord, and I said, for everybody that wants to see me go crazy and have a Daniel Jones-like reaction, if that happens, I'll have a Daniel Jones-like reaction. I'll be pissed. If we take J.C. Horn at 11, I'll be pissed. I'll be friggin' pissed. And I appreciate it. Yo, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. Great, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thoughts on Brady Christensen? That's the offensive tackle from BYU, right? Brady Christensen, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen him a little bit. He's a late round prospect. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely a guy maybe you can bring him for depth. I don't really view him as a guy that's going to step in and be a starter. Great, man. Thank you very much. Report out today they like Phillips a lot. Yeah, somebody told me about that. I didn't get an opportunity to see it, but I'll definitely try to take a look after the stream and see if there's any relevancy behind that. I don't want you to donate again, but I'll see who wrote the report. And I appreciate that, Jameson. Thank you very much, buddy. NFL Network. Oh, Peter Schrager works for the NFL Network. Well, then 2 mocks came out. Matter of fact, I'll show it to you right here. Hold on. CBS NFL mock draft. I didn't see who wrote it. I knew that it was I didn't see who actually did it, but I saw that. Let me just type in mock draft because I think that's what I typed in and it popped up. Yeah, there's Peter Schrager. His came out. Maybe it's this one. This one is written by
JC tried gain flings for the first time the other day. The scent made quite an impression.
This one was written by Ryan Wilson. Maybe this is the one. Let me see. No, this one they had Rashawn Slater. There was another one, and it was a CBS mock. I'm not going to be able to find it. There was another one. It wasn't just his. There was another one where they had JC Owen going to the Giants. I'd be pissed. Stand up. What's going on, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Deontay Brown will be a Giant. That's a Dave Gettleman guy. Maybe. Second, third round guy if we're going to go that route. Maybe. Yeah, Peter Schrager. There was two people who had us taking him. Not just Peter Schrager. Somebody else had us taking JC Owen also. Not just him. I would not be happy if that happened. What's up, Jared, man? Thanks for popping in. Thoughts on Tommy Tremble if we could trade Ingram? Yeah, I've seen. I think it was. I don't know which mock draft site it is. I don't remember if it's PFF or if it's one of them. One of the mock draft sites, PFF or Draft Network, or one of them has him actually above as they have him as the second tight end in terms of rankings. He's probably going to go in the second or third round. I personally am not in favor of taking a tight end that early in the draft, unless it's Pitts. Then I think I completely understand it. Then after signing Rudolph, I'm not on the early tight end train. Not even for Freiermuth. I'm just not. Yuri, man, thank you very much. Articles have said that Jalen Phillips was a better prospect than Chase Young in high school, but then injuries came in. I don't blame the Giants for edge. Yeah, I know. He was the number one prospect in all high school going into college football in 2018. I think that was his freshman year, and then he had the injuries. The only thing that scares you from Phillips is the injuries, and I think it's a reasonable reason to be skeptical, and it's why he's not being mocked in the top 10. But in terms of a player with potential, I'm not putting him on the Chase Young level. But in terms of a player with potential, yeah, I completely see it. He's a top 10 talent in most drafts if he didn't have the injury concern. But I think the injury concern is legitimate. The guy had to medically retire from football. That plays a factor for me if I'm a guy evaluating players in the draft. Aaron Banks, he's a guard, right? I've seen him. I think Bobby likes him a lot from Talking Giants. Yeah, he's like a third-round guard from what I've seen. Draft Mark Bavaro. Why would you be pissed about Horn? Sure, it's nowhere near what we need, but he's a good – that's why. It's nowhere near what we need. He's fine. He's a good corner. I think we need somebody in the first round. I would prefer. Am I going to cry? Am I going to go ballistic? Maybe not. I would not be happy. I could name 10 players I'd rather have than JC Owen with our pick. 10 players. I don't want a corner. And I'm a corner guy. I love corners, especially for this defense. I do not want a corner. J-Man, thank you very much. Not in the first. I'm okay with taking a corner even in the second. I don't want a corner in the first. J-Man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, if the G-Men fail to go offensive line early in this draft, I'd be very surprised. Weapons are only as effective as being able to block well consistently. Yeah, when you say early, I think it'll be in one of the first two rounds, more than likely. I'd be surprised if we definitely may not be going offensive line in the first, but I'd be surprised if we don't take one in the second, if we don't go in the first. I'm actually leaning we're not going to take one in the first, but I think we're going to take one in the second. That's just my guess right now. I think I'm going to have us taking a guard or a center in the second round. I'll probably have 2 or 3 days before the draft. I'm probably going to have my final first round only mock draft where I'm going to predict where all the players are going to go. And then I'm going to have my final real quick. I'm not even going to probably get into details like I do in all these others. It'll probably be like an 8-minute video where I talk about my final, final 6-round mock draft for the Giants. But I in the end, I think we're going to go offensive line in the second. And I'm actually leaning that we're going to go edge in the first right now, if you ask me today. But it could be a wide receiver. I think I'm wide receiver or edge in the first right now, unless Rashawn Slater falls. And I think I'm almost definitely offensive line in the second. And after that, it's a guessing game. What's going on, Card Coach, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, my man. And Michael, man, thank you very much. Can we go O-line second and third? Yes. Yes, we definitely could. You could go with the third round. You could draft. It's not even once you get past the second round, and even in the second round, you could be drafting just as much for the future as you are for present. So once you get to the third round, you could be taking a tackle that you feel could be a future starter. You could, at that point, like I said, it's a guessing game. You don't just draft for need, especially as the draft prolongs. Like last year, everybody flipped out when we took Matt Parrott, but Matt Parrott wasn't about last year. He was about the next 5 years. Shane Lemieux wasn't about last year, even though he played. He was about the next 5 years. Same thing really for Darnay Holmes. A lot of people said, you got Julian Love. Why are you taking a slot corner? So once you get past the second round, I think you're thinking more about the next 5 years rather than just next year, even in the second round. So, yeah, I think once you get past the second round, we could go anywhere. I love Devontae Smith, Joe Tryon on the edge from Washington, and Aaron Banks, the guard from Notre Dame. I love Joe Tryon, vintage skills. I had him going second in my first 6-round mock draft for the Giants. He fits the scheme very well. I like Joe Tryon a lot. I think if we're gonna go edge in the second round, and I know a lot of people call it a reach because the mock draft you'll see him going in the third or the back end of the second. If we're gonna go edge in the second round, say we go offensive line in the first, and we want to go edge in the second, he'd be one of the 2 or 3 favorites for me that I'd want the Giants to take. I like Joe Tryon. And David, man, thank you very much. Did you see NJ.com mock draft with the trade? I like it. I did not. Let me take a quick look. NJ.com mock draft. Let me take a quick look. 1 day ago, 7 hours ago. I'll try that one. Patriots trade up for quarterback. Jets build Zach Wilson. I'm assuming they trade up with us. Otherwise, why would you tell me to take a look at it? It's not even allowing me to. Let me see. Just tell me the trade because I can't see it right now. I can't see it. I didn't see it though. Because right now what I'm looking at, it's cutting me off. It's not giving me the whole article. Kelly, man, thank you very much. Smith, then Creed, then guard in the third. Yeah, I think Creed's gonna be off the board. I think Creed's gonna be off the board, man. And James O'Mones, man, what's going on? I love James O'Mones. He's on all my streams, man. He says, thanks for all the Giants content. It's appreciated. I appreciate all you guys, man, for all the support you guys always show, coming in the streams, watching the videos. I try to do as much Giants content as I can. This off season, I've kind of not done as much. But I don't want you to donate again, by the way, the guy with the NJ.com. I'll try to find it. But I haven't done as much because I'm not trying to force content. Like last year, I felt like there was more to talk about. It was dead. There was no other sports. So anytime there was any rumor, I was trying to make a video on it. But I haven't been trying to force as many videos this year just because I'm not trying to force content. I don't think there's been that much relevant to talk about. I'm kind of with you guys now at this point. I'm kind of waiting for the draft. I'm trying to do the Gettleman Project, trying to do mock drafts, trying to learn about some of these prospects. But after the draft, I think is where it really starts to get fun. You start to see what this team's going to be about as we get ready for next year. Anthony, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. He says, Chris, do you have a sleeper pick in this draft that people have missed? I mean, I talked about him yesterday. I'm gonna give you a couple. I got him in my notes here, but one guy I talked about in my draft yesterday, and I was actually impressed. A lot of you guys knew about him. Bobby didn't know about him. Was a guard prospect, but I want to give you one guy I really like. And if you guys have not looked into him, there's 2 guys I really like that I brought up in my last 2 mock drafts. I really like Kendrick Green. I like him so much that if the Giants took him in the second, I wouldn't be upset. He's being mocked in the third in a lot of mocks now. If the Giants took him at 42 and didn't go offensive line in the first and wanted to take Kendrick Green, I wouldn't be upset. Kendrick Green is a guy you should look at if you haven't done it. He's a guy that's played guard. He's a guy that's played center. Plays for Illinois. He's 6'4", 315 pounds. He ran a 4.85 40, and when you watch him on film, the guy's a super athlete. He's a converted defensive lineman that then played the interior offensive line while at Illinois. He's a guy that I think you should look at. He's a guy that I think has a lot of upside. I don't even think he's going to get to us in the third round. But if the Giants took him in the second, I wouldn't be upset about it. He's from Illinois. And then the other guy that I've talked about in a previous mock draft, he's a defensive tackle that I really like that I don't see a ton of people talking about him. I just want to make sure that I get all his measurables right because I wrote down his 40 time and everything else. But what's his name? Hopefully I didn't erase it. Yeah, Milton Williams. He's 6'4", 280. He, again, had a great 40 time. He was pretty productive. He had 4.5 sacks last year, 10 tackles for a loss. And he's another guy that's creeping up mock drafts. He was originally going in the 5th round area. Now I'm seeing him creep up into even the 3rd round area in some mocks. I like him as well. Milton Williams, he actually had comparable pro day numbers to, the best defensive player in football. So he's a guy that I definitely have my eye on as well, that I think is going to go more so in the 3rd round. But I like him too if the Giants decide to go with a DT in the 3rd round. He may even go 2nd round also. But those are two guys I like that not a lot of people are talking about. Milton Williams, he's 6'4", 280 pounds. He was originally a defensive end. He converted to defensive tackle. He put on 30 pounds after he got to college. He had a 38.5-inch vertical leap. He had a 4.61 on the 40, 4.25 20-yard shuttle, 6.8, 7.3 cone drill. So those are some guys that I like in terms of sleepers. Greg Rousseau, I'm actually not in love with Greg Rousseau. I'm definitely okay with him in the 2nd round. I don't want him in the 1st. When I watch Greg Rousseau gets almost all of his pressure on the interior. He doesn't really have any pass rusher moves. He's got upside, though. I recognize that. He's 6'7". The guy's a monster. I'm not in love with him as a 1st-round prospect. I'd be completely on board with him in the 2nd round. And I think he's going to go to the 2nd round or the back end of the 1st. Yes, a lot of people like him, LA Lou. I've seen him going in the 2nd round in some mock drafts, but a lot of people like him. Yeah, of course, Jameson. Galladay is a deep ball threat, but he can't get open, Royal says. Maybe you're talking to somebody else in the chat. Yeah, he's a 50-50 guy. He's not a guy that's going to create a ton of separation with his route running skills. He's a 50-50. He's Plaxico Burst. That's what he is, that type of receiver. I'm not going to say he's as good as Burst, but he's that type of receiver. He's a 50-50 guy. He's going to create separation with his height more so than his route running ability. He's actually a pretty good route runner, though, but not an elite route runner. I like him. He's another guy I like. He's a center, right? I'm pretty sure he's an interior offensive lineman. I've seen him. I like. He's a 2nd, 3rd round type guy. But yeah, if they're going to go interior offensive line in the 2nd, 3rd round area, he's a guy we could look at. What's going on? Eat the Man, thanks for popping in the stream, my man. And Joey, man, what's up? I see you on Twitter all the time, man. What's going on, buddy? Thank you so much for the $5 donation, man. Thank you very much, buddy. Yeah, he does make great catches. What's up there, Henny God? He's a tackle. Oh, okay. I thought for some reason he was a guard. I thought it was an interior offensive lineman. Maybe do people talk about him potentially being an interior offensive lineman? I have seen for some reason I thought he was a guard. He's a tackle. Matt, man, what's going on, man? He says, I'd love to see Galladay paired with Nico Collins, big-bodied wide receiver. He's a 3rd round guy out of Collins is Michigan, right? He's a 3rd round guy, but a lot of Giants fans like him. PlayStation, yeah. What is PlayStation's name? He's the running back out of Louisville that I was Bobby actually. I didn't know it before I did the mock draft, but Bobby actually commented on my. Who does great film breakdowns, by the way. Go check out Talking Giants. I try to shout him out whenever I can. Bobby actually loves him, and I didn't know that. He commented on my page, and then I went and I looked, and I think he did a film breakdown of him, or I saw he was talking about him somewhere. It might have been on Twitter. I like him, and I haven't seen a ton of people talk about him. And then somebody told me that Chris Sims, and again, I didn't see it, had him ranked as his 3rd best running back in this year's draft. All the mocks I've seen, he's going in like the 6th round, 5th round. Javian Hawkins is his name out of Louisville. He's 5'9", 183 pounds. But when you watch that guy, if that guy gets a step, he's gone. And he's got like that quick burst. Like the speed, like his 40 time is impressive, but it's not, it's 4.44. That's what he ran at his pro day. He looks even faster. Like when he gets that step, he's got that quick burst. And I was watching, I'm like, this is a guy that could really help with special teams, kick returns, punt returns, maybe be a 3rd down specialist, a guy that could, if you can get him out in open space, he can make big plays. I liked him when I looked into him. He's 5'9", 183 pounds, very fast, very fast. And Jova, man, thank you very much. One Slater or trade back, linebacker. How do you feel about JOK in the? I like JOK in that 15 range. I think that's where he's being mocked a lot of times. and I think he fits our scheme. So I like him. 2 edge, 3 offensive line. So you're saying go JOK. If we're not getting JOK in the second, so I think you mean if we trade back. So take Slater. If we don't trade back, take JOK. If we do, if we take JOK, I would go offensive line in the second. But if we took Slater, I would probably go edge in the second. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that's probably what you think too. Offensive line, edge in the first 2 rounds. Round 3 offensive line as well. I wouldn't be against that. At that point, I think you can do whatever you want. You go offensive line, you could go wide receiver, you go middle linebacker, you go anywhere you want in the 3rd round at that point. Hey man, he says, what do you think of Roche in the 4? I like Roche a lot as well. He actually had a better pro day than Greg Rousseau. They both went to Miami. He beat him in every category. He beat him in the vertical jump. He beat him in everything. He was very productive at Temple, and he actually played pretty well for Miami last year, and he fits our scheme. I like Roche. I like Roche a lot, actually. I don't know if he's going to be there in the 4th. I think he's probably going to go in the 3rd. I think his pro day helped him. But if we didn't take an edge in the first 2 rounds, I'd be completely on board with taking Roche. Completely on board with him. George, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. He says, do you have any hope that Ross could be a game changer for us? No one seems to care or talk about him, so I was wondering why we signed him. Well, I think a lot of people, when they look at him, they worry about the injuries. He hasn't had a ton of production since he's been in the NFL. What I'm most interested to see with him is how the New York Giants are going to utilize him differently than the way Cincinnati did. He's kind of like the guy I was just talking about, Javier Hawkins. Get him out in space. The guy's got tons of speed. Get him on, in underneath routes, things like that. And he's actually produced in the red zone throughout his career, even though, he hasn't done much. He had 7 touchdowns, I think, in 2018 with only like 21 catches. He's definitely a big play threat, a guy that can take the top off the defense. But, yeah, I'm excited to see how the New York Giants utilize him underneath, maybe, end arounds, things like that. You have to try to take advantage of his speed. Do I think he's going to be in the starting lineup? No. I think Slayton's probably going to start over him. And I obviously think Shepard's going to start over him if we don't draft a wide receiver. But I think they're going to use him. I think they're going to use him in, 3rd and long situations. They'll use him in sub packages. But, yeah, I think he could definitely be a weapon. Just his speed, his threat should be able to open up the intermediate part of the field. So I think he could help this team. Nikki, man, thank you very much. I think you think JOK is an edge. No, I don't. I don't think he's an edge. He's a linebacker. But he's definitely a guy that can rush the passer. But he's definitely not an edge. He's a guy that can do a lot of things. He's versatile. And definitely not an edge. He's only on 210 pounds, 215 pounds. He's a guy that can drop back in coverage, but he's a guy that can blitz off the edge as well. But he's definitely not an edge rusher. But my point was why I wouldn't draft an edge in the second if we took JOK was I think you need to address the offensive line in round 2 at that point. That's just me. I'm a guy that believes if we don't go offensive line in the first, I want to go offensive line in the second, almost under any circumstance. So that had nothing to do with why I wouldn't go edge in the second. The reason why I wouldn't go edge in the second in that scenario is because I think you'd need to address the offensive line at that point in the second. Kelly, man, thank you very much. If we traded back to the 15 to 20 and took AVT, how would you feel? I'd be very happy if we took Elijah Vera Tucker at 15 to 20. I'd be thrilled. That's great value. That's 15 is like where he should be going. 13 to 15, that's what you see. I'd be very happy with that. And he's versatile. I'd be very happy with that. Josh Palmer's a guy I haven't talked a lot about. He went to Tennessee. He's a wide receiver. He went to Tennessee. Wasn't very productive. They had a bad quarterback, I think, from what I read. But a lot of PFF loves him. I think they have him ranked like 10th at the wide receiver position. He has ties to our coaching staff. We just brought in the head coach, the former head coach of Tennessee. So he's a name to keep an eye on in the 4 or 5 round area if he gets to that point. But a lot of people feel like he didn't produce because of the quarterback situation over there. He sounds a lot to me like Darius Slayton. That was the book on Darius Slayton when we drafted him out of Auburn, that the quarterback production was bad and and the scheme or whatever it may have been, and that's why his stats weren't gaudy. He's also, I think, the same height as Slayton. I think they ran a similar 40 time, but he's an interesting name to keep an eye on, maybe in the 4 or 5 round area. I haven't talked a lot about him, but it's funny that you bring him up. George says, if PFF likes him, I don't want him. Much love to Farouk. Yeah, Farouk's doing the giveaway. I'm looking forward to it, Shiest. I'm looking forward to it. And if you haven't done so, go check out the last video. You could join the contest. You guys get a signed football from Eli Manning on draft night if you win it. Completely free of charge. It's on NFL.com. Password is in the pinned comment on my last video. Can we make our picks in the contest? Yes. Yes, make them. I mean, you have up until draft day, but make them. Now, you might want to wait, but you can always make them now, and you can always change them. I already made mine. You guys want to see my picks? I could show you real quick. You want to see my picks? Hold on. I filled out for the contest. And I don't think they allow trades. So this isn't my exact mock because I think there's going to be trades. But I think in this contest, you're not going to be able to make trades. So this was yesterday. I was just screwing around. These were my picks for the contest. And my opinion changes by the day. Okay. So take this for what you will. But this was my picks real quick yesterday when I couldn't make any trades because I don't think you can. And if you can, I don't know how to do it. But these were my picks yesterday for the contest that you guys could partake in. So I had the Giants getting Jalen Waddle. As you can see there, yesterday I was just like, yeah, Jalen Waddle. But I had Trevor Lawrence, I had Zach Wilson, I had Mac Jones. I'm actually believing in those rumors, as crazy as that may sound. Without being able to trade down, I think the Falcons are going to trade down. I had them taking Penei Sewell. I took Jamar Chase to the Bengals. I took Kyle Pitts to the Dolphins. I took Devontae Smith to the Lions. I took Rashawn Slater to the Panthers. I took Justin Fields to the Broncos. Patrick Surtain to the Cowboys. Jalen Waddle to the New York Giants. I took Micah Parsons to the Eagles. I took Elijah Vera Tucker to the Chargers. I took Kwity Paye to the Minnesota Vikings. I took Trey Lance to the Patriots. I took J.C. Horn to the Cardinals. Christian Darrisaw to the Raiders. Tevin Jenkins to the Miami Dolphins. I took J.O.K. to the Washington Football Team. Rashad Bateman to the Bears. I took Azeez Ojulari to the, and I don't know, let me get rid of this ad. Why isn't it let me scroll? There we go. I took Azeez Ojulari to the Colts. I took Jalen Phillips to the Tennessee Titans. I took Jason Away to the Jets. Creed Humphrey to the Steelers. Greg Newsome to the Jaguars. Christian Barmore to the Browns. Terrace Marshall. I think he's a really good fit there with Baltimore at 27. I've had him going there in all my mocks. Caleb Farley to the Saints. I took Asante Samuel Jr. to the Green Bay Packers. I almost went linebacker there. I decided to go corner last second. Pat Freiermuth to the Buffalo Bills. Sam Cosmi to the Chiefs. And Greg Rousseau to the Bucs. So that's my contest. So you guys can copy me and not get any of the picks right. But as of now, that's my contest. And again, that's not exactly what I think because I think there will be trades, but I couldn't figure out how to do any trades. Vin, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, can't stay for long, Chris. Sorry, but had to say, do you think the Giants are bluffing so they get the O-line guys? See you later. They definitely could be. It could be a smokescreen. And we'll see. We'll see in the end if that is what they decide to do. Anything's possible. You know, I'm starting to lean that they will not, but anything is possible. How much would you give for the Knicks to get Steph Curry? A lot. He's one of the top 5 players in the league. A lot. But yeah, going back to that question, though, I think the Giants are serious about trying to trade down. I'm not saying they will, but I think they're serious because I do think that there's legitimacy behind potentially selecting an edge rusher. And I think it would be ideal to select one after a trade down. You're from North Dakota. Colin says, who will be first, second, and third in the NFC East? I mean, I'm going to pick the Giants. I honestly think it's like an even race, though. I could see any one of those 3 winning, Washington, the Giants, and the Cowboys. I'm going to go Giants 1 right now. I'm going to go Washington 2. I'm going to go Cowboys 3. The Cowboys defense still concerns me a lot. You don't know how Dak's going to be off the injury. So, and Washington's and the Giants defense is legit. And I do think both their offenses will improve. So I'll go Giants 1, I'll go Washington 2, I'll go Dallas 3, and I'll go Eagles 4. And Kevin, man, thank you very much. Have you checked out? No, but I did hear about him, Kevin. I think I was watching a video. I was watching a video by because after I saw my prospect when I did my research into the guard that I really liked. That I pointed out, I typed in his name on YouTube because I wanted to see what other people were saying about him. I watched some film ahead of time, and I clicked on an underrated prospects video in which he was listed in on Bleacher Report. I think it was. I can't remember. I saw it this morning, and they mentioned him in it. Ishmael Smith, they mentioned him in it. I have not looked into him yet, though, but he was mentioned in it. He'd be a nice option around 3 or 4 if we go at. Yeah, they talk very nicely about him. I haven't gotten a chance to look into him yet. And Mike, man, thank you very much. It seems like everybody wants to see you and Bad Dog flip out. By the way, I'm not sorry I'm late. You're the man, Tana. I think we'll win the contest. By the way, no trades. Yeah, I don't know why there's no trades. There should be trades allowed. And Rel, man, what's up, man? Why draft an edge in the first if they're not? I agree with you. Yeah, at 11, I would not be in love with taking an edge. I think I've come to the point where I've accepted that it's a possibility. It's not when it's not saying that's what I want. I've accepted that it's a possibility. But I don't want him to take an edge. I prefer either a wide receiver or an offensive lineman at 11. If we're staying at 11, if we trade down, I'm completely fine with taking an edge. But I would prefer a wide receiver or an offensive lineman. One of those two at 11. Rumor has it we're swapping with the Pats. Where did you hear that? I mean, I saw the rumor today with Rappaort, and I know the Pats make the most sense. So that's what I think would happen if we trade down. But I have not seen them mention the Pats specifically. And yeah, get the likes up, man. 411. Let's try to get it up to 500. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for being the best supporters on YouTube. I will be live later today to call the next game. I'm really much looking forward to it. But thank you guys for being here. Want to talk Giants with you guys today. Braves or Yankees, Chris? Yankees. I'm a Mets fan. I can't root for the Braves. They're our biggest rival. J.R. Payne, man, thank you very much. How do you feel about 80-1 odds for the Super Bowl? You're probably not going to win. There's a reason they're 80-1, but I think they're good odds. I think they're very good odds. I don't think the Giants should be that poor. I think Vegas is definitely underestimating us. I think the divisional odds are a joke. I don't know if those have been updated. We were 4.5-1. I think that's a complete disgrace. And there was another one that I laughed at too, but 80-1, take a shot. Put $20 on it. What do you win? You win $10. You'd win $1,600 for a $20 bet. I think the Giants are going to make the playoffs. If you make the playoffs, you got a shot. Throw $20 on it. What's $20? 80-1. Yeah, I think those are great odds. The division, I think is a great pick at 4.5-1. I may bet on that. I think it'd be great content for the channel. I may throw some money on that. What's going on, Word? Kylie, what's going on? They say not trades, but there will be 3 or 4 in the first 10 picks alone, not counting the 3 that already took place. I think there's going to be a lot of trades. I compare this to the 2018 draft where you saw all the trades with all the quarterbacks. When you have a lot of quarterback prospects that are very highly thought of at the top of a draft, there's going to be a lot of trades because teams trade up for quarterbacks. There's a lot of quarterback-needy teams that want to go up and get one. You go back to 2018. Jets traded up for a quarterback. Bills traded up for a quarterback. Cardinals traded up for a quarterback. Baltimore traded up for a quarterback. I think there's going to be trades. We've already seen 1. I think you're going to see more. We've already seen 2. I think you're going to see more. I think there will be trades. Zany, what's going on? We're getting 7 in a row. No cap. What's going on, Jai? Glad to see you here. Looking forward to calling the Knicks game. I think we're getting 7 tonight, too. Mike, man, he says, any update if you're streaming on What Do You Say Thursday? I'm not sure if we're going to stream on What Do You Say or if we're going to stream on my channel. 80 to 85% I'm going to be doing the Met game. I don't want to commit to that because I am doing back-to-back Knicks games. I may be dead. The Knicks play tomorrow as well. So I don't want to commit to that. 80% I'm going to be doing the Met game. It may be on this channel, maybe on that channel. If it's on this channel, the reason we do that is to try to get traffic over for the post game. On the What Do You Say channel, Tino's not going to be able to do the game. But I think Mage is. Fix the O-line. He says over under is set. Oh, that's the other one I love. I'm probably going to bet on both. Not that I don't bet. Very rarely do I ever bet. I live in New York, so I can't even bet on what is it? DraftKings. But I may go to Jersey. I think it'd be cool content. Like if I walked in and put, $100 on the division and $100 on the over under, because I think they're going to hit both. So 4.5-1 odds, and I think they're going over 7. I'd be surprised. So basically, if you bet the over on the 7 and they lose the division, you break even anyway. You get your 100 back for that bet. Maybe you lose a couple of bucks because they usually make it so that you don't get even money with a bet like that. But I may put 100 on the division and 100 on the over for the 7. I like both. You have 5 quarterbacks in the top 9. I have 5 quarterbacks I think I do too. I think 5 quarterbacks. Well, for me, it depends on what the 49ers do. If the 49ers take a quarterback, if the 49ers take Mac Jones, I think 5 quarterbacks go in the first 10. If the 49ers take Justin Fields, I think 4 quarterbacks go in the top 10. If you draft for need, you get screwed every time. We were like 5 needs just to take the best player available. I agree. Yes and no for me. I'm not going to just draft a player that I don't need. I'm not saying it has to be your biggest need, but I'm not going to just draft a player that I don't need. I'm not going to draft a quarterback if he's the best player on my board, unless it's Trevor Lawrence, which is not going to be the case. I'm not in favor of drafting a corner, even if he's the best player on my board. I think it at least has to be somewhat of a need. I'm not telling you it has to be our biggest need, but I think it at least has to be somewhat of a need. It's not like we're a finished product. We're not even close. I think we need more help on this team this year. So I'm okay with taking a receiver. I think that's somewhat of a need. I'm definitely okay with going offensive line. I'm definitely okay with going edge. I'm definitely okay with going linebacker. I think it has to be somewhat of a need. What's going on, Jameson? Thanks for popping in. Think there'll be quarterbacks 1, 2, 3 plus a trade 4 to 7. If Lance falls to 7. And I personally think I think every team drafts for need in some way, shape, or form. It's just that they prioritize it in a way that they fit need with best player available. I don't think teams just always draft the best player on their board, especially when they don't need that position. What late first round to early second round edge would you trade up for? Jalen Phillips, probably, or Ojari or Jalen Phillips. Those would be the 2 guys I'd entertain. What's going on there, V. Christian? Chris, what is your dream case scenario for the draft? My dream case scenario for the draft? Penny Sewell drops to us. Not going to happen, but you're asking me what my dream is. Penny Sewell drops to us. It's not going to happen. And I appreciate it, Money Man. Thanks so much for being here, buddy. Hey, I try to do these when I can. I don't try to overdo it. Today there was something valuable worth talking about with the trade down scenario and the press conference, even though there wasn't much that came out from it. So I figured I'd go live, talk to you guys. I don't try to overdo this because there's not always something worth talking about. But before the draft, I'm going to try to do 2 of these, the 2 days leading up to it, plus the day of. Kind of like free agency where we did a bunch of days in a row because it's going to be highly anticipated. It's going to be fun. And then in season, I'm going to try to do this twice a week because I know you guys like the midday streams. I have a lot of fun doing them. If Penny Sewell dropped to us, I would be so high. Oh, Penny Sewell would be a slam dunk. Of course, Jameson. I just don't like your team. But, guys, I am going to wrap this up because I have to go live later today. I just want to say thank you guys so much. I'm probably going to do it, like I said, next week we'll be doing the 2 days leading up to it. We'll be doing midday streams and the day of, or maybe just the 1 day. I don't know. Definitely at least the day before the draft and the day of the draft. I'll be doing these. And then probably the day after the draft, we'll do one of these to recap and give everybody's opinion. And I'll be doing a stream the day of midday. So we're going to be doing a lot of these during the draft. So it should be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much. Deception, man, thank you very much. Hey, Chris, have you looked at the wide receiver? No, I have not. But I will write him down as well. Mike Strachan. I will write him down as well. Mike Strachan. Okay. Mike Strachan. I will look into him. Judges interviewed. Prospect, I did not. Okay, you interviewed him. Okay, I'll definitely look into him. Projected to go undrafted. Maybe we take him in the 6th round, or maybe we look to pick him up as an undrafted free agent. Interesting. That's always fun, too, after the draft. All the undrafted free agents that you bring in, usually only 1 or 2 of them have a shot at making the team, but that's always fun to go over, and maybe he'll be one of them. But, guys, I'll be live for the Knicks game at, I think the game's at 7:30, so I'll be live then. Hopefully I see some of you guys there for that. Thank you guys for being the best supporters on YouTube. Enjoy the rest of your day. And you guys are the best. Have a great day, everybody.